we do have a really like special music scene in our area though, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the bands have a great way of connecting with each other and like
Yeah.
trying to support each other in our area, which is really nice to see since we don't have as strong of a scene as compared to some of the other cities.
Yeah, it's like there's almost like a tight-knit community
Mm-hmm.
aspect to it all, which like I'm not gonna say like, oh my gosh, that was so surprising. I was expecting it to be a bunch of assholes, but like when they asked me to be the singer of Chay and I was meeting everybody, I was like, wow, everybody is it's a tight-knit community. Everybody kind of knows each other.
But it's welcoming.
Yeah, it is.
It's very
It
welcoming,
is.
yeah.
I don't know what I was expecting, but maybe that's maybe because it is a little smaller. So that's definitely a plus side.
Yeah, there's like an intimacy to it, and I think we all like are trying to achieve something.
Yeah.
Even if we all have different like types of music styles that we do, we're all trying to achieve a similar goal and get our music out there, right? And
true.
so like it's awesome that we see, other groups and even, ourselves, we try to make sure we're uplifting, those other musicians and artists out there who deserve the support too. We all have to start somewhere, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And that's like, not to get super, like use like salesy talk, but it's kind of like an abundance mindset, right? Like if everybody's doing well, more people are going to be interested in music, right? It's not like it takes away from other people. And that's kind of.
So I moved up actually into Fairfax with an old friend from high school who was living up here at the time. She went to George Mason. And yeah, it just worked out that I got to live here with her. And shortly after that, I was like, wow, okay, now I'm in this new area and I don't know anybody. So I should try to make some friends. And that's actually when I met Ryan. We had a very similar taste in music. And we bonded over that. And this is silly, but he's actually the first person that like really wanted me to like try singing because we had such a similar taste in music. And he's like,
No way.
I try singing. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I'm not singing in front of you. What? I just like not something like that I do in front of people. I was just so nervous and like I didn't think I had anything to really show or share. I just thought it sounded awful. So Ryan was like, no, come on, it can't be that bad. Like just try. So he had me sing Landslide by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, dude, there's something there. Like you could do something. We should try something because he played guitar. And I knew like from when we were starting to hang out, like that was something he was fiddling around with and like learning. But he played different style compared to what we play now. He was playing more like when you say like finger style, like folky,
like acoustic stuff like that. That's what I started with. Was more just like folky 70s,
so
Americana stuff.
We really enjoyed listening to Bia Badoobie. He had just seen Clairo in concert, and Bia Badoobie had opened for Clairo. And Bia Badoobie wasn't a big name at that time, so this was all like pretty new. And he came back and he was like, dude, you got to check this chick out. Like, she's really cool. And so we started bonding over that and just like kind of like that indie bedroom pop style music.
Okay.
And we're like, okay, like let's just try like doing a couple like silly covers and like videoing it and putting it on YouTube and see what happens. So that's what we did. Do you want to pick up there?
Yeah, I mean so this was like, I think you left
Not
a
to put
few
him on
things.
the
I'm gonna, take over the whole thing. So I want to make sure you get some words.
No, because it was originally when we first started like jamming and trying something out. It was kind of just like, let's just try this. Like, who cares? We'll just try something out since we're young. Let's just try music.
By the way, for a timeline, this is like right as COVID is starting.
Oh,
right as COVID was starting.
Wow.
It's hard time to make friends.
Oh my God. Don't even. I'm going to have PTSD if you like bring it up. It was really hard for me because I'm very extroverted and I got a job delivering packages at Amazon during that time, so I was able to keep busy, but not being able to talk to people, oh my gosh, it was terrible. You said a couple things that I wanted to ask you about really quick.
Oh,
okay. So who's the artist? Okay, I'm going to really out myself right now because I don't know this artist at all.
All right. Clairo or Bia Badoobie or both?
Either, actually.
They're just indie artists, indie rock.
Not just, but,
Well,
they're really cool. They
really
have some
cool,
like,
yeah.
I think they have some really awesome music. You should definitely check them out.
Okay, cool.
One song that we really liked by Clairo a lot was Bags. Is there another one you want to like shout out?
I mean, just that album at that time frame was really cool.
Sophia
it was very
awesome.
bedroom pop.
Okay. Cool. Well, maybe
she does a lot of like at least when she started, a lot of DIY stuff in her own very bedroom. So like that's where the term like bedroom pop. I don't want to say like she started it, but she was definitely on the cusp of like where that began.
Yeah.
So just making your own beats and music in your bedroom and recording it and putting it out there, and it was a big hit.
Very DIY, very just grungy and bad sounding, but that was part of the beauty of it.
Yeah. Maybe not bad sounding, but like raw sounding.
Very raw.
Yes.
But, I mean, but technically it would be considered bad from
it's not high quality
traditional standpoint, but that's the beauty of it.
This is cool though, because I think right now in the most popular music is so fine tuned and like, auto gridlock to the nth degree. I really do think people are desiring this more like raw
of course.
I can't speak raw authenticity. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's really, really neat. Maybe we can come back to that. We can play a little bit of music. You guys, okay, so, and then you were talking about you were going to go see this artist, or I interrupted you.
You go ahead.
This was just kind of the early time frame. We were like jamming, and I wanted to start a band. So that's where I got her to sing. I was like, let's just try this out.
Wait, and why did you not want to sing?
I had tried some stuff. I'm not that good.
He doesn't like his. You know how I said I didn't like my voice? I was like, oh, that's awful. You're not gonna like it. He feels the same way about his. And I think everybody, just for the viewers out there, I think everybody feels that way before they actually try starting to sing.
I can 100% attest to that. Yeah, I did not want to sing in my first band either. Actually,
so don't be afraid though. Like you never know what you got until you put it yourself out there.
100%.
And, like, you never know where it can take you. So definitely put yourselves out there. Give it a try. The worst that's going to happen is people go, yay.
Yep.
Like people still clap and cheer for you.
Yeah, I think
you might not get as strong as a response. But I feel like the effort of just even putting yourself out there is so big that other people respect and like love that you're doing that. Yeah. I love that you're doing it. So do it.
Another thing about that is that, so this is a whole nother world, but like, I hear voices in songs as another instrument. I don't hear lyrics. I hear the voice as an instrument itself. My voice, to my own taste, was too deep for the songs I liked and wanted to write.
That's fair.
I like higher pitched voices in songs personally.
Okay. Yeah.
And my voice couldn't do that. So
yeah.
And that's just, again, it's just like an instrument. Like I hear the voice as another instrument. So like, in my ears, I like higher pitched voices as that kind of instrument, to balance out everything.
I see.
So yeah, that's another reason.
When you first were playing music together, did you have it in your head that you wanted her to sing and you were thinking about, let's see, how can I get her to
let's just do to see if it was going to work. Cause that was like, it was our early 20s and we're like, let's just try this. Like, at least I did. I was like, I don't really care about anything. Let's just try this out. Like, we're in our early 20s. Like, who cares?
Like I said, what's the worst?
What's the worst?
Yeah.
Also a great way to spend some downtime while you're huddled inside.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
and just to see if it was even going to work. So, like, to see if there's something even feasible. And there was something feasible. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Let's just keep trying stuff out and seeing what we like. And at that time was very much, we bonded a lot over like this indie rock, this soft indie rock, even like Phoebe Bridgers kind of style, very soft indie rock, very cool. Acoustic.
Soccer Mommy is another example.
Soccer Mommy?
Do you know Soccer Mommy?
I've never heard that. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, that's an artist.
Soccer Mommy. Yeah.
It's an artist.
No way.
Very
I'm going to make a list. You guys.
We'll make you a little playlist or something.
The real reason why I do this is so that people can tell me who to listen to because I'm just closeted. So apparently.
So we bonded over that. And that's kind of like where our interest kind of started, is that like that kind of style of music. So we just started playing that and started like thinking we were going to do a duo of that style. Acoustic, very sad acoustic, soft rock.
Yeah.
And like neither of us really had any sort of musical experience before that. Like she played high school band. None of us were in bands before.
None of us had like actual like band
music scene,
like what you're
like
thinking of
bands.
Experience.
Sure,
My band was symphony. I played tenor
was
saxophone.
Like high school band,
Oh wow!
I played tenor saxophone for like 8 years through middle school and high school, and then I was the drum major of our marching band.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was definitely a band geek, but and music was very prominent in my life.
Yeah.
But it didn't go with me through college. I actually broke my foot right before tryouts for marching band my freshman year.
Oh my gosh.
And I tried so hard to just have any involvement, but they never got back to me. So I didn't end up doing music. After that, I would really understand how people could even fit that into their schedules. I felt so busy. So I never ended up going back to try out for marching band.
Oh my gosh.
I think after that moment at home alone, I needed something else to, kind of put my energy into. And I think music was something that I've always needed to get back to.
So this is interesting now. You were not really keen to the idea of singing, but you guys decided to do music. Were you playing another instrument when you were jamming, or did he was just like, you need to sing, so now we're just going to try this?
Yeah, basically that.
It was just trying it out. I was like, hey, let's just try it.
Well, like I said, what's the worst that could happen?
You're right.
We had a similar taste in music. I was like, just try it. Like, who cares? Like, even if you sound bad, we'll just try it out and see what happens.
You never know.
Yeah, you actually, at that level, you can't worry about embarrassing yourself, because think of all of us now who want to get noticed. Mm-hmm. It's like, trust me, you're not going to get noticed even if you want to.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah. But you have to put yourself out there.
You have to.
And the only way for you to ever find out if it's something that, you can do is if you try it.
Yeah. So. Also, too, because this resonates with me a lot, because when I decided that I wasn't going to sing, because I was like, oh, my voice isn't good. But I didn't realize later that the voice is like an instrument that you can learn how to develop that. You just, maybe you got to put, like if you're tone deaf, I guess maybe you can't sing, but then you're probably not playing an instrument either. So
right.
It's something that you can, that's what my vocal coach taught me when I decided to finally start taking lessons. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that I could strengthen my muscles and do that.
Absolutely. And I think there's lots of different styles of singing too. So like, each person, kind of takes on their own persona, even with like guitar and stuff, like, the best of the best, when you think about their sound, like, when they're playing that instrument, that guitar solo, you know who it is, because they have a special sound to their, that they play with, I guess.
Absolutely. My Nick from Chay, we were talking about guitar tones and stuff, and at the end of the day, he was like, dude, guitar tones are fun, but it's really all about how you play it. And I was like, that makes me feel good for not knowing about all their different effects that they always talk about all the time. But
I feel that.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so getting back to this journey. So you guys are kind of jamming a little bit, you're singing a little bit, you're playing guitar, you're thinking, let's do like a duo thing.
That was kind of later on. We just started jamming just because like I liked music. I was like, let's just have fun playing music.
Awesome.
He was learning guitar. You'd been playing it for a while before we met, but
okay, yeah. Talk to me a little bit. Let's hear about your guitar journey. So
I was a late bloomer with guitar. I didn't start playing till college.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't start playing till college. Yeah. And then literally like right around that time right after college is when I met Brenna.
Okay.
But then, like I was good enough where I can start like jamming with people. That's kind of what it is. It's like, hey, I can play this. Let's have fun with this now, Yeah. So that's where, and then COVID hit, so I'm kind of stuck, and I'm like, hey, let's just sing. Like, let's have fun with this.
Yeah.
And then we did it, and it started getting a little better and better. And then that's when we decided, like, hey, let's just like try a band, like a duo.
Hell yeah.
And again, we didn't know like.
We didn't know anybody or anything.
Anyone. So we started with YouTube videos. That's what we started with doing covers of some songs that we liked.
Nice.
Those are hidden now, those videos.
You're not allowed to see them.
They were so bad. And they were so DIY.
Scrubbed from the internet.
Yeah.
They were so DIY. We were just trying to figure out what to do.
But yeah, I mean, that's just it. Like we were just trying to figure out like how do we get this like to be interesting, like and get different camera angles, and like we're using our phones and stuff.
We had one phone, and we had to re-record the video 3 times in different angles.
And
then we would splice like the voice over it. Like
wow,
we just did it 3 times, and then I'd splice it like over the same line. So that it looks like it was the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So
I know
funny.
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
We DIY'd so much of that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's
Even to
crazy.
this day, we DIY like everything.
Yeah. You have to.
We have to.
So we started doing that, and then we got bored really quick.
Oh, no.
So we recorded like maybe 3-4 songs, right?
Yeah.
And then we were just like, all right, well, like this
the
is
next
great.
Step
but
is live.
I think we were starting to come out of COVID, the worst of it. So like people were starting to congregate in small groups again and whatnot. So we're like, okay, like I would like to, try playing this on a stage. Like, I mean, we're not going to get anywhere by just posting some YouTube videos. I mean, some people do, but
sure.
But I didn't, they weren't that great.
Also, video editing just sucks.
It's
like,
so
if somebody introduced me to someone who's passionate about video editing, because I'll be friends with them. That's like the literal worst. No, I'm joking. Really quick, you made me think of something. People need to know that if you want to learn how to be better at something, you need to practice it, right? And it's like, duh, right? But this is a really great example of like, well, we just are going to do it and maybe it'll be corny and I don't know.
Hopefully it gets better.
We've had so many failures.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You have to.
You have to. Yeah. Especially it still being our first band ever.
Wow.
We've
That's
had
really crazy.
So many bad hiccups and just bad shows and stuff, but like that's where it's led to now. So
it really is about the right people. That's what I've learned because I've been in a bunch of different bands and it's like, talent is obviously important, but I'm just getting however many people.
We'll tell you how we got our good people because we have great people.
Yes, I'm stoked to hear
that because we're almost there. So
we're almost there.
Yeah.
So we decided
I'm trying to keep you guys from finishing the story. That's what I'm doing.
No, it's okay.
No, it's okay.
The tangents are perfect because that like gets more information.
So you guys are coming out of the lockdowns.
Coming out of lockdowns, got bored with these videos very quick. We're like, this is not.
We need to play live.
I'm not like It's just the link wasn't that great. So
we need to play live.
We also we want to play live. We want to be on a stage and try it and see what happens.
Yeah,
like that's part of doing it.
By that point, we did have some originals by that point, and we're like, let's just try live and see what happens as well.
So in order to play live, we could have done like a small duo. And we did a duo show one time, but we'll come back to that later. Yeah. We can revisit that. Before we played live, we were like, well, the songs we were thinking about like our inspirations at the time, like these bedroom indie artists that I've talked about. And they all have bands. So they still have other instruments. So it's not just a guitar and a vocalist usually.
Okay.
They usually still have, somebody else doing some kind of drum beats or keyboard, or they have guitars, lightly in the back. But, the two of us, we couldn't do that together, we could manage just the two instruments.
Yeah.
So I actually was going to start to play bass. And I fiddled around with that for a few minutes, and we put a blast out on Craigslist, of all places, saying, hey, we're two musicians in the area. We have these cheesy videos on YouTube. Take a look at them. And if you would like to be in a band with us, let us know. So we put it on Craigslist, dude, of all places.
I know. Before we started this, I'm asking you about band mix, and you're like, I don't know. I use Craigslist.
Yeah. Dude, literally,
Literally,
so
we got our bandmates from Craigslist.
We literally, and they was the first people we met from, we got maybe 2 or 3 responses right away. And the first 2 people we met with, one was a drummer and one was a bassist, and they were awesome. They were perfect. They were exactly what we needed. They never played in a band before either. Well, actually, our drummer played a little bit.
Our drummer had a lot of busking experience, so playing on the street, but he'd never been in the scene. He's never played the Pocket or the traditional DC venues. So this was his first DC scene,
real band.
Oh wow!
And
then, playing on a stage, live gigs, band.
Yeah.
And then our bassist at that time, she was a very intermediate guitar player, but she just said, "Hey, I want to collab with you guys because I like your inspirations. If you guys ever want to collab, just let me know." And I said, "Do you want to play bass?" She's like, "I don't know bass, but if you have one, I'll learn it." And then I'm like, "Okay, well." Yeah. So then
we're okay, we'll give you a bass.
We'll give you a bass because we have it. Wow. We have everything ready to go.
Oh, wow.
Because I play bass as well.
Nice.
I have a bass and an amp and stuff. I'm we'll just give it to you. And she
see what happens.
We saw her Instagram at the time, and she had a really good, from my perspective, a really good timing for music. So I was she can pick up bass.
Her rhythm was really good.
Was very strong for an intermediate player.
Yeah.
And I was she could pick up bass really easily.
Yeah.
And she did.
People underestimate how important
it
the
is.
Rhythm is.
Yeah. That's for a guitar player, that's my most important thing is rhythm. At least I use a lot of that. For importance is the rhythm.
You make wrong notes work if they're in tune, but you can't fake a rhythm. I mean,
yeah,
you kind of can, but it might not. It's not as easy to correct.
No,
sure.
my vocal coach told me once. She said, rhythm in a lot of instances, just get the rhythm right, and even if your notes are off, it's fine. Everybody's cool because it feels.
The feeling
good.
Is right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
rhythm is super important.
Yeah. What do you with these people on Craigslist? I'm waiting for the fascinating story about like you meet a serial killer or you meet like some creep or something.
I mean, we didn't know what we were doing.
This was the real like special part of this story is that it's not that we met the people on Craigslist. It's that we all met each other through Craigslist, never had played in a band before, and just started playing together and started doing shows and then started developing bands and stuff. Like, I think it was just really cool. Like, none of us had any kind of experience. We had no connections. I knew nobody up here.
Wow.
We didn't know it was booking people.
Totally new to us.
The venues, and so we just had to learn the venues.
Really had to put ourselves out there to like get the word out and like try to brand. Like, I designed like the logo we had. That was one of the first things we designed. And we had a hard time. Also the band name.
Yeah, I want to hear about. Wait. Well, since we have a quick, just want to make sure the cameras are all good. Do you mind leaning over and see if that one's still recording?
Looks like it.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
The one that's on you guys is worst case scenario that people know already on my page know what I look like. So
you do the band name.
Feel free to jump in at any point because I feel like I'm jumping around a lot. I'm getting excited.
No, it's okay. No. We're gonna get to. I think we can get to all of it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you go for band name because I don't really know.
I've been dying to ask you guys this question.
We get to ask this question a lot. And
nice.
I don't know that there's any like real specific answer to like. I wish I had like one really really good cool answer to share with
it's
people.
It's because all the
kind
band names are taken. Every good band name is taken.
That's
so the
true.
biggest
issue. It was hard
to
find something like that was catchy, but we also wanted something that wasn't going to limit the style of music we were playing. So like at the time, remember I told you we were playing very soft, like indie style music, right?
Oh wow!
So like if you check out our EP, it's
I did, yeah.
Very
I
much
noticed. I know.
Soft.
Quick little tangent. I was listening to the EP and I was like, oh, we got singer-songwriter vibes over here.
Yes.
I was like, I thought this was like a punk band.
That's what it started with. Was that?
Yeah.
Because like I saw you guys at the Black Cat and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like then I reached out and I was like, I'm gonna listen to some music and I was like, acoustic. I was like, wasn't expecting that, but it was beautiful.
That's what we started
really
with.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really liked it.
That's how we started. So we wanted a band name that wasn't going to be very limiting, right? So something that we could do whatever kind of music in case we wanted to try other sounds and stuff too, since we're just starting to get into it.
Sure, yeah.
So we played around with ideas for a long time. But I came up with Cherub Tree, and we seemed to like that one the most. I thought it was a fun play on like cherry tree. So it was something that I wanted something that sounded familiar to people's ears since there are so many band names out there, right? Something that's going to be like have an image, but also something that sounds familiar. And maybe something kind of ominous. So it almost sounds like in my mind, like when I think about Cherub Tree now, like the name itself, it almost sounds like a secret meeting spot.
But, it's like the password or something.
But really where like the cherub stuff came from. So I think part of it is at the time I was playing the new Pokemon game that they released for Nintendo Switch.
Excellent.
And there's like a Pokemon or a berry called like a cherubi berry or something.
Okay, yeah.
And you get them from the cherubi tree or something.
Beautiful.
And I just thought that like, I don't know.
You get it from the cherubi tree.
You see what I'm saying?
I love it. Oh, that's amazing.
But I also had like this weird, and I'll wrap this up, but I had this weird fascination with cherubs too. My mom like just had a bunch of them around like growing up. I don't really know why she had a fascination with them, but they were just always around. So I just always like had like a weird connection to them. And when we thought about it, like for the band, I was like, cherubs are like a great mascot in a sense. Cause like they're cute and like they're sweet and they're fun, but they're also like little menaces and like devious too, right? They cause a little bit of havoc. So they're looking out for you, but they're going to have some fun while they do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I thought it was a fun like way for us to be able to do whatever we wanted with it, right?
Yeah, I really like that a lot. Wait, so growing up, your mom always used to have cherubs around. Were you guys like Christian or Catholic or anything? Or
we went to church. We were mostly like Presbyterian Methodist.
Okay.
I would go, every other week when I was with my mom.
Sure, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, I get it. Yep.
But I wouldn't say like we were like very Christian or super religious either, though. But she just She just liked them.
She's like cherubs,
They
bro.
were just like, they're kind of fun and like goofy looking.
Does she like your band name?
Yeah, she loves it. She loves it. She's like,
awesome.
That's so cool. She's like, I'm glad I like left a lasting impression.
That was the first name that we both agreed we like, and we're just like, okay, that's it then.
That's it. Let's move on.
Usually it's like, no, I don't like this one, and I do, and vice versa. But it was like, that's the first one we both like, and we're like, okay, that's it.
What a blessing it was just between two people as well.
That's a huge,
Yeah. The other one we floated around was Rocket's mom. My dog's name is Rocket, so it kind of is a cute fun. But then just like that, you're like, huh. It doesn't really mean anything if you don't know who the dog is. So then it could sound cool, but there's so many band names with the word mom in it now. So we were just like, let's try something a little different.
No, yeah. No, Cherub Tree is great. Did you have anything you wanted to say about like why did you feel like you had an affinity for the name?
Because it was like kind of sweet and sour in a way. Like Cherry Tree, it's sweet, right? It's like very bubbly.
Yeah.
It's very cutie, very baby, kind of stuff like that. But then the cherub is, it's dark, it's grunge, it's, it gets that other side of it, kind of like it opens it up to whatever, like what Brenna was saying, it's kind of, it doesn't limit you, right? Because like we love the grungy, heavy stuff, but then the Cherry Tree, it's like the softer stuff. So Cherub Tree.
I don't know. You say that people ask you about the band name a lot. Do you get from people that they get a little bit of that darker side from the name when they hear the name, not listening to your music? Because my initial impression, most people, I feel like me and my college friends had a joke about cherubs actually, but it was just like because they're like cutesy, like little baby angels type of a thing. Do you feel like people get that dark side in the name a little bit?
I think so. I think there's a really grunge element with it just because of like Smashing Pumpkins and all that.
Oh yes, that's right.
I think that's the biggest affinity or like recognition to it, at least nowadays, as people associated with that.
Isn't there a Led Zeppelin album too? Was it Led Zeppelin that has the?
I don't think so.
Well, Houses of the Holy has like the kids or something, and they're all crawling.
What's
Is that the one you're talking about?
with the kid angel? Album art.
That's Van Halen.
Oh, it's Van Halen. Yeah. He's like it's a little angel cherub.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So there's some imagery. It's funny because when I heard the name, I was like, oh, so it's kind of cute. Well, I guess it's maybe not. It's funny because I kind of sense that. This is only because I'm Catholic and there's this like passage in the Bible that's very specific about like when Adam and Eve are like ousted out of the garden, there's a cherub that guards the tree of life. And the cherub is like a monster, basically. And I was like, that's like what I thought of. Because me and one of my best friends, we go down these deep dives of like symbolism and what all the what symbols mean.
Right.
And so I heard Cherub Tree and I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. You got a female led singer. And it's Cherub Tree, and I was like, oh, I wonder if there's like a connection to like the monster that guards the Garden of Eden or something. And
that's a good. I mean,
I love that.
We might take it. We might take that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
We might take that idea.
I love that story
because it's kind of similar to that like sweet and sour-esque thing.
It really is. Yeah.
So that's how I see it.
I always think of cherubs as just like I said, like they just cause a little bit of like havoc and chaos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you think about Cupid, like he's shooting people with his hearts, but maybe he's causing some trouble too while he's doing it.
Oh
you know
yeah.
So like in any like. And even like the baby-esque-ness of it, like the cherub, I think, there's a little bit of play with that.
There's some mischievousness going on. Actually, the Cupid thing's a really great image, too, because there's like, oh, I'm spreading love.
Yeah.
But I'm also,
that's
fucking around.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where our logo started to come from, too. It was like that play on like the cherub and like Cupid in this sense.
Yes.
And the heart. So we have the heart with the arrow going through it, and it has a little X on the heart too. So like maybe it's already been hit there once before, kind of deal. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So that ended up being our logo that I designed on Canva of all places. We love designing stuff on Canva.
Hell yeah.
Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Not really.
No.
Can I just say one more thing? This is me just nerding out on the whole symbolism thing. So in sort of like demon and angelology, as it were. So there's in the church, they recognize like 9 choirs of angels, right? And cherubim and seraphim are at the top. Like they're like the honchos. But every angel has a corresponding demon. Like there's a dark side to it.
Right.
So like cherubim, they're like, they're the best, but they're also like the worst at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
A little bit of good and evil.
So I don't know. It really is there in the name, which is very cool.
Yeah, some people absolutely love it, and like they tell us.
No, it's a good name. It's a very good name.
Thank you.
Also, sorry, one more thing about it too. So I was listening to the new single, right, Madonna.
Yeah.
And like the way that you phrase, especially the beginning of that song too. It's got that exact like this snarkiness. Well, it's sweet, but there's a snarkiness aspect, and it's just. I think it captures that. Yes. So like the theme is very spot on, which I was like, oh, this is very cool. Like it's very on brand, which I think is good marketing. And it hits that symbolism is very tightly packed. So, and I think that's going to resonate. That resonates with people whether they realize it or not, because all of those images are kind of working on multiple levels, which I think is cool.
And I think
thank you. We appreciate that because that's exactly what we're going for.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I like to think like with a lot of our music, like we try to incorporate this like good versus evil, this light versus dark, or good versus bad, like kind of concepts into the music, and I think that kind of helps. Like even when you think about like cherubs, it's like the good and evil, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And even Madonna, like we shouted out the Virgin Mary, exorcising demons and stuff in our songs. So
yeah. Very interesting. Wow,
so
that's very cool.
We did a lot of play on that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Sweet. So so you met your bandmates on Craigslist, and it was like a perfect fit. It was
it worked out.
It worked really well, but yeah, it just like I think we all just didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like I said, none of us had been in a real band before.
None of us really knew, like, this is a good fit. This is not a good fit. Like,
we had no idea. We were just like, all right, well, like, it's nice to meet y'all. Let's
play
try.
again.
So see you next time.
Well, first of all, where did you practice?
At our drummer's house.
Our drummer.
Because he played many years before, but not in, like, a traditional band. He's played on the street, like, on busking. He did a lot of busking.
Okay.
With other guitar players.
That's right. You said he was busking. So he had like a kid at his house.
He had a kid at his house and a whole practice space.
I'm telling you, man. I know this. It's so.
And like 10 minutes away, also. Just
my!
It was just like meant to be.
Met him on Craigslist, dude.
Yeah. And a lot of similar influences as well.
This is not going to be helpful for any up and coming bands.
Yeah.
This is all very confidential.
I know.
You guys.
And we've had conversations about it where it's just like, I mean, because we've done it, 2.5 years later, and like we always talk, we're like, dude, this is just so weird how it worked.
Out. Yeah.
And like, I mean, we can come back to it, but like our drummer's been in multiple other bands, and he even said, he's like, it's just so weird how like for Cherub Tree it just worked. Like, it just worked because he's been in bands that have not succeeded.
Sure.
Break up, as most bands do, and stuff. He's like, it's so weird how it just worked. Like,
that's
the most uncommon way, and the most likely to fail, I would say. Through Craigslist.
For strangers.
Yeah. And also just very like, this will probably just end in meh because we're all just, we're
limited experience.
Yeah, we're all just going to try to play. We're all going to maybe get together and play and who knows if it'll work out. But see, okay, so looking at it from one perspective, you could say it's luck or providence. But then there's this other aspect of you guys are so open and willing to just try things and fail. And I think that obviously we're not at the end of the story. You guys are still here. We're still making music. This is still, we don't know how the story ends, right? And I mean that in a good way, obviously. But
not in this far.
Yeah. But I think I think sort of the testament to your luck is like, hey, like we're willing to try things.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of people need to know. Like you just need to be willing to try things.
Yeah.
Because I think people get hung up a little bit on, I don't know, maybe they want it to be perfect right away.
Yeah. No,
we had no expectation. Like that's the thing. No, we had nothing. No one really had something to expect or compare it to.
So it was all trial and error.
It was all trial and error, and even for all of the band members. So it was kind of just like figuring it out as we go along.
Yeah. Well, I'm really curious now. So how did you start booking shows?
Dude,
how does that happen?
It was so hard.
It's like cold calling. It's just finding it online. Like, again, we had no one to really direct us. Yeah. None of us had like saying, hey, like I have a friend in this band, he can do it. Like none of us had that. So
and you were using the YouTube videos that you made online?
No,
we stopped using
not anymore.
Oh God, no.
We just like
we would just kind of we just started reaching out to the venues,
DIY'd it, like trying to figure out.
So hard to find anything.
But they didn't ask you for something recorded or like what do you guys sound like?
No, they did, and they asked us, where have you played before? And we're like, nowhere.
You're just straight up honest.
So this was just like,
but it's just for the first show. But then once you get that first show out of the way, then you can say we've played this venue.
Oh, 100%. And then what was the first show that you guys finally landed?
Richmond.
I had a friend.
Her friend, yeah.
I had a friend from VT who started a band in Richmond, coincidentally around the same time we were starting our band.
Okay.
They had just started that band down there and had connections and played a couple of shows, and they were like, dude, why don't you just come play down here? Like, we'll hook you up with a show. And so we played Ipanema Cafe.
Okay.
Which is a tiny like hole in the wall. I don't know if it's still there. They might have closed down, unfortunately, but it was a really cool, like grungy, like I think it was like a vegan friendly like cafe and bar underneath.
Sorry, I think you might have already said this, but you asked them if you could play with them, or they were just like, oh, hey.
No, I think we did ask them, so we had to put ourselves out there again and just be like, hey, we're having trouble booking gigs, but like I'm trying to like do this thing. Is there any like chance like you guys need somebody to hop on a bill with you guys? And they're like, yeah sure, we'll hook you up. So it worked out. Like my friend was willing to have us come and play with them and join their band and another band for the evening. It was a tiny like little stage setup. It wasn't even a stage setup. It was really just a corner of the room. And the best part was this is our first gig. Yeah. And in the corner of the room, there's a little like wall piece. It sticks out like a triangle. I can't even make my hands look like that, but it sticks out like a triangle. Okay. And it's like a little tiny table. Just drilled into the wall.
Oh, in the corner.
In the corner.
Okay,
right behind our drummer's head. So he had to push, like, basically, like, we had such a tiny space that he had to push his head basically up into the corner of it. And it was such a random, like, little table in this corner. He's like, why is this even
He's
here?
getting impaled the entire show. Just like,
basically.
His neck. God.
So
you can't even like headbang or like anything.
Okay, like I guess we'll make this. And this is our first gig, so we're just like, okay, here we go. And like, luckily, because it was in my hometown, I like had people who were able to come out and support us. My friends were all able to show up and like come out and be like, yeah, good job. That's amazing. And so that was really nice to have. Like, we had a pretty full like room. I would say probably close to 75 people. For our first gig. I mean, that was pretty awesome.
That is amazing. That is so cool. Were you guys doing the more indie stuff at that time?
Yeah.
We had a few punk stuff as well.
Punkier.
Because we all loved punk rock as well. Because like that was like our youth music.
It was something we were all able to bond over. We were all able to bond over.
But that current time was indie rock. But like we all loved punk as well. So like we had a few things that were kind of punkier. So it was a mix. It was kind of a mix of softer indie rock with the not heavier punk, but like a softer punk.
Not Yours Never Was definitely not out yet.
Yes.
Not even close.
None of them. None of them. None of them when we play now. Like we don't.
We don't play any of those songs now.
Wait, really quick. I don't want to divert off the path too much, but so you had a bunch of friends in Richmond, so that kind of helped people show up and everything. And I bet
we had fans to come out. My family showed up.
Like, oh my gosh!
Yeah.
And then our first DC show was the same. Like,
yeah, because he had family up here.
So
yeah.
Going back to when you moved out of your parents' house, you had friends and I guess maybe extended family in Richmond, or
I had a limited friend group at that time.
I see.
But funny enough, shortly after I moved up to Northern Virginia, a bunch of my friends had graduated college and then moved to Richmond right after I had left.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that figures.
Yeah.
I was like, if I had a good support system, then like maybe I would have stayed. But
okay, so you played the Richmond show. Did you get any footage or like pictures when you did the show?
Yeah, we got some.
Nice. Okay, so that was like, okay, now we're starting. We've got a little bit of stuff that shows that we are a real band that plays live shows.
Exactly. We had to have proof.
But you still
so we can send to the venues up here and say, hey,
yes,
we now played a show. Please let us play your venue.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's great. So you've got that, but you still don't have anything recorded if they're like, okay, what do you guys sound like?
Not like on YouTube or anything.
It's really just like, we're a new band. Like, if you guys need openers, please let us know.
Yeah, we were really just like trying to get on the bills with anybody.
We're just like, if you need any opener,
opportunity,
let us know,
we were
please.
taking it. Like,
yeah, sorry.
No, that was our approach for like the first year of the band. Was just like any show we're offered, we should take it.
Now, what decision did you make, or when was the decision made that because I'm sure you reached out to some venues in Virginia that were like, sure, like you have to tell us what covers you're playing, and it's a 3.5 hour slot and stuff like that, which is what I got a lot when I was in previous bands. When did you make the decision? You were like, well, we don't really want to try the cover band thing. We'd rather do the original.
We never got
thing.
that.
Oh, you never got that?
We never had.
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry.
No.
We did covers when we first started, just because like we just wanted to try, and like that was the easiest way. But like once we started writing original music, like that's what we were gonna do. We wanted to be original music.
But all the
artists.
venues, they never asked about like covers.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
we didn't end up messaging like the venues that were looking for mainly like the cover band types of gigs.
You did or you didn't?
We did not.
We did not.
Oh, you just didn't.
We just I think we had a pretty good idea of what those venues were, because they're usually like clubs or bars.
That's
kind
true.
of a style.
Well, I guess sometimes I was thinking, because I there's one of my friends from Shallow Planet, Zach, the front man. He kind of works the sort of brewery winery circuit, and that's very much like he goes with his acoustic guitar. It's literally just him actually, and he just sings and plays that. And then he has Shallow Planet too. I didn't know if you guys had reached out to any, because you were thinking about doing indie music, so I didn't know if that was on your radar.
It was at that time before we did like a 4-piece band. That was originally
yes.
We had reached out to some people, but just like I don't think it ever followed through or whatever it was. But that was something early on. Like in Georgetown, there was like a winery thing or like a wine event where they're like, we need an acoustic soft thing. But that never. Once we did a 4-piece, we kind of were looking more at the local venues. We kind of got an idea of kind of the normal like local venues in DC. And then we started just like pitching our names out.
What was the first show we played up here?
It was DC9.
Oh yeah.
No way.
Our first show here was actually.
But that was another thing where it was
random,
just like kind of like,
lucky.
hey, we're new. Like if you need anyone at any time, just let us know. And then they're like, we need an opener in like 2 days. Can you guys join?
Oh my God.
So something like that. And then it just starts building up that
So we're
way.
like, yes, please. And then we did the Battle of the Bands with Chim and Shava.
Yes.
That was our third show ever.
What year was that?
22.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we've been like doing it as a 4-piece band for like 2.5 years now. It was April-ish of 22, I think is when we got all 4 people together.
Nice.
The first show was June 3rd, 2022.
Yeah.
June 3rd, 2022 was the DC9 show that you were
was
talking
the
about.
Richmond show.
That was Richmond.
Oh, no, that was the Richmond show.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
The very first show was the Richmond show.
Who did you play with at DC9?
At DC9, we opened for Plastic Picnic.
Huh.
And funny enough,
touring band.
Yeah, they were a touring band. But what's really funny, and this is just like small world, my parents, I told you, moved to Washington, but they moved to a specific island off the coast of Seattle in Washington. And Plastic Picnic, the lead there, grew up on the same island that my parents moved to.
Oh, wow.
So it was just like a really weird, like,
that's
suddenly.
Very strange. Yeah, that's cool. So
we were able to bond over that a little bit, and that helped like me ask some questions about performing and about like, how do you guys do this stuff? Like they had, I think, big sync licensing. So we're like, tell us more about like that. Cause we didn't know anything, you know? So what do? You start asking the artists who do know stuff.
Yeah, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Just out of random curiosity, is that like near where your mom moved? Is that like near Gig Harbor at all, or?
No, so she lives on Whidbey Island.
Okay.
Which is near like Everett, and it's just off the coast of Seattle.
Okay. I spent 3 months doing children's theater in Washington State, and I stayed in this beautiful town on the coast near Seattle called Gig Harbor, and it was like gorgeous.
It's probably very close by, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very, very pretty area. The mountains, and the water.
My gosh. Washington State is
stunning.
Oh my gosh. Unbelievable.
It's stunning.
I got lucky because when I stayed in Gig Harbor, I had this like, they put me up in this little guest house. And it was like the 1 week out of the year that it was sunny and bright and like warm. And they were like, it's not normally like this. And I was like, wow, I feel like I'm on vacation. It's amazing.
Yeah. At least on their island, they don't get quite as much of that rain, but it's not always sunny either. It's usually very overcast, and you might get to peek at the mountain, but on the special days, you get the full like mountain, like snowy capped top.
Oh, that's crazy.
Stunning. Enchanting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know it's like a wonderland out there.
Pretty cool.
Okay, so you played DC9. So then you're starting to get some momentum.
Yes.
And so you guys are booking gigs without having any music online.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So we're trying at that time. That's a good point. We're trying at that time to start recording the music. So we DIY'd it.
That was my question. You DIY'd it.
Everything.
Yeah, we did it all in our basement at home, and Ryan like mixed and edited and mastered it pretty much all himself. It took a long time because he had to learn how to do it, right?
Oh
so
my
like I said, we didn't know
you
anything.
learned that from scratch.
He learned
YouTube.
it all himself on YouTube.
Just GarageBand.
And you mastered it too?
I didn't master it. No.
Got it.
No.
My bad.
No, I didn't master it.
I think we did like a...
Did like the AI master.
Yeah.
Nonsense. At
but
that
you
time.
didn't know the
we don't know
mixing
what we're
and
doing.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just live and learn and figure it out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What about what DAW did you use? Like what recording?
GarageBand.
Use GarageBand.
GarageBand, yeah.
Holy
And just
cow.
like the Scarlet interface, like the solo, whatever.
Yeah. I used to have one of those.
Yeah.
And I got the kit so that it came with the mic and the headphones too. So we had all the
the bundle
had everything.
Yeah, like the starter kit.
The
and it had the one
kit.
headphone, the solo.
What did you do
interface.
about sort of like dampening the sound?
We didn't have amps. We'd use the
Oh, you went
plugins.
direct in.
Yeah.
Wow. What about when you were singing?
Oh, we went into like my.
This is so funny.
We went into like either at her apartment, her closet, or like in the screaming ones
before we moved in. Yeah.
When she was still living at her old place.
Yeah.
We used her closet, and then there was some screaming songs that we had.
Because it was an apartment.
We went to my parents' house because she was in an apartment, and my parents' house had no roommates, so like she could scream.
Nice.
In my parents'
that's
closet.
Sick.
So I stood in his mom's closet with her shoes and everything. She let me scream in her closet for like an hour.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's amazing. And you guys did 5 tracks that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's super dope. And then you just released it online.
We released it, and man, it was a pain because we were at that point getting a good amount of momentum in the scene, like from live shows. We're playing a lot of shows, getting our name out there.
How many shows did you have under your belt at this point?
Do you want to say like?
I'm gonna guess
10 to
20.
15.
Yeah,
wow.
15-ish.
Okay.
I'd say 15.
That's
15.
pretty good.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Okay, so you got, booking 15 gigs without having any music online. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy.
It
took a lot of please.
But then like by that point, it was like we're getting too big to release this really bad music. Because it was all DIY. And I'm like, this is what we should have released before we started playing anything live, because people are expecting kind of good stuff right now and not super DIY, like
I see.
bedroom stuff.
Because you were starting to get a reputation.
Yeah.
And so people are like, oh, when you finally are going to record something, it's like maybe high quality.
But we had already started these songs before we played anything live. Like we had started it. I'm like, we got to finish it. We can't just like give up now.
Because there's some singer-songwriter style type songs on that EP.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And like, it was just like, we started the EP before we started playing live. And then it was just busy, and it just takes longer than you'd always expect. And by the time we released it, we were already like 15 shows in to our, Cherub Tree kind of 4-piece band thing. And then we released it, and it was just like, okay, thank God that's out. Because like
it's done finally.
Thank God, because it was really DIY, and it's just not what we wanted to sound like, at least in my perspective. So I'm like, this doesn't sound good in my ears.
Well, I think the real big difference, and feel free to interrupt me if I'm wrong, but like I think the big difference is by the time we released the EP, we realized that we didn't want to play that style of music anymore.
Yeah. That's a good point too.
The sound had changed.
The sound had started to change, and it just wasn't really like what we were doing anymore. And the reason why for that change like really happened, I think a lot of the 4 people coming together really tried like change the inspirations a little bit. We kind of realized like what we all had in common, and kind of drifted more towards that. But I think the biggest thing is like the shows were just really boring when you play slow music. At least, this is subjective, but like I just felt like
for
really
our experience, this was just like playing 15 shows into that point, 15, 20 shows. We just
I don't think
we just felt it that way. Like for us,
it just wasn't as fun. And I noticed is like we started to write more songs that were slightly more upbeat. Like people seemed to enjoy those a little bit more.
Yeah, you were discovering your sound, really.
Exactly.
It's what it sounds like anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Yeah, and so I think we just realized like we wanted to play something more fun and more punk, and like we want something that's gonna get people moving, not like this soft, slow sway. And like, I've been to lots of, like, I've seen some of the artists that we talked about earlier, such as like Soccer Mommy. She's an incredible vocalist and songwriter. But even at her show, I went to see at Black Cat for the first time, actually.
Wow. Wow. That's cool.
That was the first show that I ever saw at Black Cat. Was her performing there, and just the whole crowd, just a soft sway. That was going hard for that kind of crowd. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean.
That was the mood and the feeling, and it was nice. But I realized I enjoyed something a lot more fun and upbeat. And when I go to a show, I think that's the kind of music that I want to put out there. So something that's going to get people energized and amped up, or let out some of those feelings that we all try to hold in.
We didn't realize that though immediately though. That took time because even
15, 20 shows in.
Literally, and we're 15, 20 shows in, when we're practicing, and we're practicing our sets, and there's a one of the softer songs, we're all just we don't want to do that one, because after doing it you realize okay, there's no energy in this one. People don't resonate with it. It's not as fun, even for us.
A lot of people do like those songs, so don't hate on it too bad. But because a lot of people actually still come up to us at our shows and be like, "I love this song from your EP." Serene, for example, is a popular one. They're like, "I love that song so much." I'm like, "Thank you." I'm sorry we don't have music like that anymore, but I'm glad you like it.
There's a show crafting element though, where it's not even necessarily maybe a problem with the song. It's just you're talking about an energy that you're feeling from the audience, and you're like, okay, how do we?
Just what made it harder to connect with the audience, I think, with the style of music, and not having the experience either too, to kind of figure that out. And so I think that's the point where our sound really started to change and become a little bit heavier.
But you could still feel energy even with soft music. There is an energy in the air regardless of the style of music, but we just didn't feel the energy.
It's just not the energy we wanted.
Well, yeah, because it's funny because when you're performing, you're giving something to the audience, right? Yeah. But there is an element where you want what you're giving them to be authentic and true, right?
Of course.
So you have to vibe with the energy that you're giving them. But this reminds me, because when I was studying theater in school, we would have our performances, and it's a lot of times the Friday night audience would be they'd be the listening audience, and they wouldn't really react, or if they did, it was always oh, or oh. It was just very silent, but you could feel the energy, and you have to kind of feed off that. And then you get the Saturday nights maybe, and they're just they just laugh at everything or whatever. It's a different type. And I think somehow that is related to what you're leaning into. You're talking about this artist, Soccer Mommy. It sounds like she's really capturing this sort of steady wave of energy that's not maybe as energetic. Well, the energy is probably still there.
Yeah, there's an energy that's you can't see it or feel it, of course, but there's an energy regardless of the intensity of the music.
Yeah.
So there could be an energy of love and sadness or whatever with soft, slow music. There's still an energy there.
Yeah.
But there's also an energy with intense music. You know, there's always an energy, but at least for me, I didn't feel any energy on the softer music, right? Because there will be an energy there, but I just didn't feel it at all.
Yeah, just not one that you guys, I don't know, that maybe felt in your wheelhouse.
We thought it was, because that's what it was originally intended to. We never got it, and it just slowly I didn't enjoy playing those at all, because it was kind of just here's just a filler song that no one really it kind of just killed the vibe in a way, an energy vibe. And again, people weren't moshing at these shows. They weren't that hard of shows. Especially at that time, it wasn't super punky. But for some reason, the slower songs, it just didn't really the energy just kind of dissipated once we played them.
Yeah.
Well, and I think for the crowd, and even thinking about myself as an audience member, which I think is important to do as an artist.
Oh yeah,
think about yourself in an audience, how you feel and how you react. If I was in the audience, that doesn't mean just because I'm softly swaying and listening to the music, or Soccer Mommy, for example.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm not feeling this magic that she's putting out there. It's just how I, as an audience member, am reciprocating that energy and putting it back out to her may not look as enthusiastic.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Not a physical thing. And you don't need to be moving.
That's kind of the comment I was making about the sort of maybe the listening audience is maybe a little more in tune in a different way.
Right.
Exactly.
And so it's not that it doesn't resonate with the crowd or they don't like it. It just, that's how they show in that, kind of feeling how they resonate with it. Because they're feeling it more internally versus externally. Yeah. And I think, we just realized, like Ryan was saying, we just weren't having as much fun with it.
Yeah.
And we got tired of playing the songs because we weren't having fun anymore.
Yeah.
So really quickly, we're like, okay, we got to write some music that we do want to play and like have fun with.
Yeah.
And like that'll get us amped up and energetic and excited.
So that is a little tough when you're finally releasing this music you've been working on.
Yeah, it's very tough.
You literally had to learn from scratch how to make.
Exactly.
Poured so many blood, sweat, tears, and hours into
like learning how to. I mean, it is what it is. It's all a learning experience. You know.
But you probably had new songs that you had written, right?
We did, yes.
Or you're just like, oh man, I want to record this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And also you're getting more experience writing songs too, right?
And I'm learning, even like now when we go to professional studios, like I know the foundational aspects of it where I can like, you know, give feedback to our guy, be like, hey, can you do this? And it's just the most foundational thing. But
that's helpful because then you can be like, oh, what if we, I don't know,
tweak this or whatever.
So helpful.
So, I mean, it is what it is. It's all living, you know, learning. No one's here to guide us. It's just, but that's what taught us. It's like, okay, we need to outsource this next time. Like recording music, we need to outsource this. We can't do this again, DIY.
Yeah.
So
it was just a pain and it took too long. And as we get louder, it just became
we need
less
better
and less
gear.
feasible
We need better
to do.
everything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So then, Not Yours Never Was that was just a single, right? That wasn't part of another EP because then you also, Madonna's another single.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my gosh. So we're finally at the point where you're getting to record the stuff that you guys
So yeah,
want.
pretty much right after we released the EP, we had pretty much had Not Yours Never Was at that point. And again, like at this point, we're realizing like people really resonate with us with the harder stuff, like the punkier stuff. And it's not that hard yet at that point.
Yeah.
It's getting there. It's slowly, each show is getting a little heavier and heavier. Our distortion's getting a little louder and louder each show. And by that point, like, I don't know how it started. Oh, I remember how Not Yours Never Was started because we were just jamming at our drummer's house and like there was a Red Hot Chili Pepper riff that they do before one of their songs. And I did it with a fuzz pedal on and it just made that like riff for Not Yours Never Was. And it was just kind of like, it just kind of worked. And then
oh, that's cool.
the riff was just there. The riff was like, okay, that's the one.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it was like kind of by accident because I was trying to do this chili pepper riff, but my fuzz pedal was accidentally still on.
Oh, no way.
And I was like, oh wait, that's kind of cool.
Yes.
And then I made it into a power chord instead and just made it like a little punkier. And then like we kind of just really dived into this like Riot Girl punkiness. And I was like, this is gonna be our most punky thing.
Yeah.
And then we recorded it at 38 North, which is in Falls Church, with Reese Clutter.
Oh, wow. I don't think I'm familiar with them at all.
They're a great great recording studio in Falls Church. But yeah, it was like kind of really Riot Girl when we recorded it. I mean, you can jump in if you want to say anything, but it was kind of just like something kind of new, very raw, very Riot Girl, and we recorded it. And this was like right after we released our EP. So it was pretty much right then. We're like, okay, we're going to go to a studio and do this from now on.
Yeah.
Once you finish the EP.
We're like, dude, we're outsourcing this. We're not doing this anymore.
That's enough DIY.
Yeah.
Well, we realized like while Ryan was trying to do that, it really hindered us from writing new music because he had to spend so much time
figuring out how to
focusing on how to fix what we had.
Compress
so it really limited the amount of time, and time is money.
Yeah.
Or in this case, time is music. So
yes, even better. I like that better.
Yeah. So we realized that this was just taking way too much time away from what we really should be focusing on.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't that good. It wasn't even that good either. Like it was
don't hate on yourself.
Ryan is so hard on himself.
Well,
you put so much effort into that, and you're just like, fuck it.
Worst critic. Yeah.
That too. Was that song for you guys? Was that a step in a new pond for you guys? Were you not really playing punk, or we were,
but once we did that, it created the new wave where everyone was like, that is what that's the sound we want. When we like played that for the first time.
The first time we played it, we had so many people like come up to us after the set and was like, dude, that was
that's what we want from
awesome.
You. Like
They're
that
like,
was
I want to hear more of that. Please give me more of that.
Yeah.
They're like, that was just so cool.
Wow. That's so great that you got that feedback too. Because Nick and I were talking about this the other day. We're like, man, I kind of wish people would tell us like, that song isn't that great, or that. I mean, we'll ask people what their favorite song in the set was, but it's like, getting feedback like that is huge.
So big.
Yeah.
And it feels more genuine when it's like sought out too. You know what I mean? Like
We didn't
people like
ask.
come.
It was so natural.
People come
That's
out
beautiful.
to, like and find you and tell you just so that they can let you know. Like that's something really special and authentic. And I love when like people come out in the crowd and do that and tell us. Like I don't think anybody's told us straight up like that song sucked. And if it did, I wish they would. But
I know there is a part of me. Well, I know there is a big part of me. It's like, let me know if the song's not good because we'll either change it or just not play it. You know what I mean? Because I'd rather know.
I agree. I agree with that.
I don't think sometimes we can know. But was that the first time you guys had ever been in the studio before, like a professional studio?
Yes, it was.
That was our first studio experience. Yeah, it was.
How nerve-wracking was that? Was it or
not too bad, honestly. Our guy we work with is awesome, so it was very.
I think we met him once before we even showed up to the recording studio, and then because he was friends with somebody else we knew.
Yeah, we were introduced through a person. Like he was a sound engineer at one of our shows.
First
once.
real connection.
Oh,
and
okay.
But then we'd heard of him from another guy who said like, yeah, just check him out. He's really good.
Yeah,
he's at 38 North, which is like a really good venue or a recording studio close by. He knows the sound you're going for.
Nice.
So we like discussed it with him, and like he definitely seemed like the guy he knew what we were going for, like our inspirations and stuff. So
he had a really good grasp on like what our inspirations and sound should
for
be
that song,
and for that song, and I think a lot of our other songs too.
Of course, yeah.
But he listens to a lot of that kind of music, and even something a little different than what we listen to, so he could bring new ideas too. So he listens to so much music, and it really helped make it easy for him to do his magic.
Yeah.
And like for us to put our trust into him because we knew that he understood what we were trying to do. Yeah.
How many, so once you finished recording that song, how many more your style in the vein that you guys are trying to go for now, punk-ish songs, had you written?
Let's see. I mean, we have, after Not Yours Never Was, we started recording our album, which is like, we can talk about more because we're working on an album.
Right now, you're in the process of recording
done.
a full-length album.
Almost done, yeah.
Are these two tracks going to be on that, or are they
Not
completely
Yours
separate?
Never Was, but Madonna's going to be on it.
Got it. Is this with the same producer?
Same producer,
Very
same
cool.
Location.
Very cool.
Madonna is in the same producer, same location as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool.
So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, after that, we kind of were like, okay, like this feels good to have people, after we released Not Yours Never Was, or not release it, after we played it and like recorded it and all that, we're like, okay, like we started playing it on our shows, and it was just continuous of like good feedback, and it felt good.
That's awesome.
You could finally see that energy that we were looking for in the crowd. Like people were moving, people were starting to mosh at our shows. Like it made it so much more exciting and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What so once you were like, hey, we're kind of doing the more punk thing, who were some of your guys' biggest influences that really influenced that movement?
Ooh.
So there's a lot of like
Yeah.
There's a lot of influences that are in that Riot Girl movement, like a lot of current day, like Amyl and the Sniffers, Mannequin Pussy, like Lambrini Girls. There's a bunch of different current artists, Destroy Boys, like that we listen to currently. But I wouldn't say a lot of our inspirations comes from Riot Girl music. Like most of our musical tastes are not actually like punk Riot Girl. We all listen to different genres, but we like to play it and like transpose it into similar to how like I was playing a Chili Pepper, like a Red Hot Chili Pepper riff, and it turned into that.
Very cool.
You know, so
then just for you then, Ryan, who are some of your biggest influences?
Like Led Zeppelin, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blink-182, System of a Down, you know, stuff like that. And our drummer is the same, like very similar, like Metallica and a lot of hard rock and classic rock and stuff. Like those are our main influences from a creating music perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's rock, because like I also love acoustic music and like 70s folk music and stuff. So like I think all of us in the band are the same way. Like in regards to creating Riot Girl punk music, we don't listen to other Riot Girl bands for inspiration. We listen to other genres and then pull inspirations from those.
I see. And then it's just going to sound like you guys.
And then it sounds like us. Right. But we still love the Riot Girl bands. Like we still love punk bands, but like we don't want to sound like them. That's the thing.
There's a little bit of influence and like to kind of see like what people are looking for these days too.
Sure.
But they're not our primary influences.
Who would you say is who are like maybe 1, 2, or 3, if you can't just say one, of like the most influential guitarists for you?
Influential guitarists, I think John Frusciante of the Chili Peppers is my number one.
Yeah.
Jimmy Page.
I just learned about the bedroom lick like last year.
Oh, really? Hell yeah.
Well, I was actually trying to do an acoustic duo thing last year. So before I joined Chay, I met this guy on Bandmix, Hunter, and I was thinking about doing the more wine circuit things. I was like, I just want to play shows because I didn't know how to book shows. And he was obsessed with the Chili Peppers.
Yeah. I'm a big Frusciante fan, and our drummer is a big Chili Pepper fan as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is how we bonded. Which is the Chili Peppers.
And he introduced me to the bedroom lick, and I was like, I didn't know. Yeah. He like kept talking about it, and I was like, I don't know what are you saying? Yeah. What does that mean? Is this like an innuendo for something?
There's a bunch of new ones now. So yeah, I love Frusciante. He's probably my number one influence. And then Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin is up there.
You gotta love him.
And then this one's a kind of a frowned upon guitar player, but Tom DeLonge from Blink-182.
Oh, yeah.
Early Blink-182 was a big influence as well.
Wait, who's their drummer again?
Travis Barker.
Okay, yeah, because our drummer is a big Travis Barker fan. Yeah. And he's just like, people don't know how talented that guy is.
He's very, very talented. Yeah. He's very like underappreciated for how good he actually is.
Yeah.
Because he's part of Blink-182, who's super frowned upon, and
it's
very mainstream, but
I feel like they're coming back a little bit because I think all the people who are like my age, all the millennials who like grew up with that, they're like, that music doesn't suck. Like, and so now people are kind of revisiting them a little bit.
I loved a lot of their early stuff. It was very skate punky, really just not that traditionally good, like from the traditional standpoint.
Are you a skater, bro?
I used to be. I don't want to break my wrist.
He can't skate anymore.
I want to.
But if I fall, if we don't have any shows coming up, but if you fall and break your wrist, like we're SOL.
Yeah, so I haven't skated in a long time, so I know if I'm going to,
you're
the
only guitar in the band too.
I know.
It's not like you just play with one other guitar.
I want to. Like I still watch all the the new videos that come out and like people skate parts and stuff. So
Brenna's got you in skate prison. Like you can't go.
It's okay. It is what it is.
Hey, at least, hey.
I'll just be like, be careful.
I can roll around or something. But yeah, if I do fall, it's SOL for the band.
She's like, you can sit on the skateboard. Yeah. And then you can just roll that way. And that's all you can do. Yeah. That's cool. All right. So what about you?
Inspirations. I think one of my big inspirations is The Cure, actually.
Oh, wow.
I love The Cure, and especially their early stuff. And I think Ryan and I actually really bonded over that, as we were becoming friends and starting the band too, is we love The Cure.
The colors are insane, and The Cure.
A Forest is the first song I think we tried playing as a band, just for funsies. We never covered it, but just to jam with and see what kind of sound and colors we could play with and whatnot in it. But I'm a huge fan of The Cure. I think my mom is partly to blame for that. I think a lot of my musical influence is actually from my parents, and so my parents are big punk rockers, actually.
Really? Yeah. Oh my gosh! So they just love your stuff. They're super into it.
They're super into it.
That's very cool. That's awesome.
My parents met in high school, and they went to prom together, and this just to testify as to how punk rock and grunge and they are. But the song they danced to at their prom was Creep by Radiohead.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So they had to do it for their wedding too. So they danced to Creep at their wedding. Wow. So they're OG punk rockers.
That is adorable.
Very untraditional.
Very untraditional, yeah. So but I just grew up on lots of punk rock music from both of them. But I think long term, going back to my childhood, my big influences would be Avril Lavigne. And I really loved Linkin Park. I would listen to both of those on my Hello Kitty boombox and blast them really loud. Evanescence. Oh, loved Gwen Stefani.
I love Evanescence.
Yeah. All of those, yeah. So
oh my gosh, Amy Lee.
Such an amazing.
She should have married me, honestly.
So I think those are a lot of my original influences though. But as we've started to go through like music and stuff, I've also have like a huge fascination for Hayley Williams because she is also just incredible. Like how she can belt her notes, and it's so effortless for her. Incredible vocalist, and she does a lot of like similar style music. Thinking of Mystery Business and such. So I think those are like my main like influences for the band and like for the music we write.
The newest
and stuff.
one for both of us is Chapel Roan.
Dude,
we love.
We're big Chapel Roan fans.
Even as like a guitar player and like an instrumentalist, like I love that.
Oh man, you guys are gonna know how much of it in the closet I am on all these things. I don't think I've ever listened to any Chapel Roan. Maybe I might have heard something, but
she's hot right now.
Okay,
probably heard it on the radio.
It's really good.
Okay. Cool.
It's really,
she's
really
got crazy
good.
melodies.
I've got to check it out.
She has the Hayley Williams-esque vocal effect. Where it's just so good. It's like natural.
Is she doing rock music or
pop? No,
so this is pop music.
I was gonna say it's very straight up pop.
It's straight up pop. Yeah,
it has a lot of like '80s influences and early Y2K.
It's very
folk,
refreshing. I'm not a big pop fan.
Yeah,
it's different than what you hear normally on the radio these days, and I think
very
that's why
refreshing.
It stands out.
It makes me think of Cyndi Lauper, like that kind of level of refreshing, where it's like, whoa, this is like
it stands out.
Really,
and
this is a
skillful.
Oh, very cool.
This is very artistic. Like this is, you can hear it's somebody's art versus a lot of pop music is very just streamlined and
it's a little canned, maybe.
It's like there's nothing to it in my ears. But this one, for the first time in a long time, it was like, whoa, this is somebody's art.
Yeah,
I can feel their art in this music.
And it had more authenticity and like rawness than what you hear typically on pop music these days, right? It's usually very overproduced, maybe some auto tuning and like
meant for the
beats
radio.
Are all the same. They probably clip the choruses and paste them. You know what I mean? Like they all sound the same.
I know.
So her music, I'm not saying she doesn't do those things, but I think it definitely has a more raw feeling to it that makes it really special and stand out. And I love 80s music, so I love that she has a lot of 80s inspiration from it. Yeah.
But then back to the point where it's like, even though we're a punk band, we don't use punk music as our influences. We like pull it from all these different genres.
I'm not as...
Which is super weird for us, but... That's just how it works.
I think we all bring each individually as a band member. Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
As each individually as a band member, we tend to bring our own influences, and I think that kind of shapes each of our individual sound. And then we find a way to
mesh it together,
mesh the individual sounds together to create what we're doing.
Yeah,
and I think that has worked well for us.
This is interesting.
Try to like put all of that together. Like for example, our drummer is a super big funk lover.
Oh,
he loves funk.
Yeah, you were saying because he's a
huge Chili Pepper fan.
Yeah, but that's part of it. Yeah,
and Jimi Hendrix and like he loves
Metallica.
Loves funk music and like classic rock kind of style.
But he loves funk though. That's his main thing.
He loves playing funk drums though. So like I don't want to say like we changed his style of drumming so that he can't play funky because we want him to play funky if he wants to play funky. But at the same time, like we've had to, kind of work with like the other sounds of the band too to try to make that work for the song. Or like maybe we take some of the funk inspiration there, some of the funk timing and stuff to pull it into a rock style beat. So like it's kind of a weird fusion on an individual like band member level.
Yeah.
To make what we have.
Yeah. You could give them like a funk break in a set or something maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just I'm sure you guys have tried this, but like maybe you're playing a riff or something and you're maybe playing a song and it's just like, well, what if I don't know, just for shits and giggles, play a funk beat to this and see how it sounds. Have you ever had any like, oh, this has turned into something? Like when you've kind of like maybe added a layer like that before? I'm giving him ammo so that he can put funk riffs into your music.
I think we usually, because Ryan and I usually do write those songs before bringing it to the band, right? So we usually
I want to talk about the writing process too.
Yeah. So we usually focus on like the guitar riff and like the melody for vocals, and then I'll start working on lyrics while we kind of piece that stuff together. But usually we have an idea of how we want the drums to sound and how we want the bass to sound.
At least from a colors perspective. The color of it.
So, like, I'm not going to say, like, we go in there and we tell Sam, this is how we want you to play it, and we're going to sit down behind his drum set and play exactly.
Sure.
We don't know how to play drums. I can barely tell him what to play because I don't even know what all the drum names are. So,
Can't even tell you which drum to hit.
Yeah, so it's funny. Like Ryan will be like, "Play ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba."
He's like, what are you talking about?
Drum speak.
Like,
this is very common among bands.
And
I don't know if you know this from other bands, but this is how it works.
Boom, boom.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
So it's funny, like trying to translate that to Sam. But usually we just kind of say, hey, we kind of want it to be fast and like upbeat, maybe something focused on snare or focused on the toms. Or we want a lot of bass to it or something like that. And usually we'll just kind of we jam on it for a practice or two and just let them experiment with different things.
Yeah.
And then we can usually say, hey, I liked it more when you did it this way.
Or he'll even say, like, what do you think? What do you like more, this one or this way?
Yeah. He'll ask us, which one I have both of these and I like them both. What do you think works more? And we can usually, play around with the vocals too and see how that works because it all has to mesh together, right?
Sure.
So just because we figured out what we each individually want to play doesn't mean it works together.
Yeah.
So
but usually
we work together though to kind of shape it to something we're all happy with. And I think that's a big thing. And when we started this band, this is some information. I think you saw it in like an interview or an article or something. But it's that you should try every single thing, every idea that you come up with.
That was Rick Rubin. Yeah.
Give it a go.
Oh, that guy's
Rick Rubin was like, I think he said that. And like in the studio, it's like
no ideas are bad ideas.
If anyone has an idea, you have to try it. That's a rule. Is that if anyone in the studio has an idea, you have to try it regardless. Dude. Like even if one person says it and 4 people say no, you have to still try it.
Yeah. Dude, so. I could listen to that guy talk about cooking water.
Oh yeah.
I love just his voice too. He's got such a soothing, warm sounding voice. But yeah, he just makes anything sound interesting. It's incredible the way he looks at the world. Songwriting. Yeah. I want to say something really quick. I'm getting, now that you're talking about like 80s pop a little bit, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of like the attitude from some of these 80s pop stars in the way that like you kind of phrase some of your vocals a little bit. Like The Cure is interesting to me because I think about, what's the name of the lead singer in that band?
Oh gosh, no.
Now I don't feel as bad that I don't know it.
Now I'm blanking. Do you remember?
Making me blank.
I'll Google it and then I'll clip it out so we don't look stupid. The Cure.
I can't think of his name now.
Robert Smith?
Robert Smith, yes.
Well, he's got sort of like, sometimes he'll do these things that are kind of maybe speechy or he like has these funny inflections.
Yeah.
And what's that other 80s pop song that everybody knows? The Don't You Want Me, Babe? It's like a conversation.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you're incorporating, I don't know if you're doing this consciously or not, but I feel like you're incorporating a little bit of that into some of like, not that you're not singing notes because you are.
But it's kind of like a conversational and talk. Some of it is more talkative.
Yeah.
Especially like with like Not Yours Never Was.
Madonna.
And those couple, like the verses are much more talkative.
Yeah.
And maybe less melodic than like our previous music. But I think it kind of works in the sense that it portrays those feelings that we're trying to get and it makes it more conversational. And, being like a sociology major, I like to kind of hide some like social commentary into these songs, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to be something that either you rock out to it and you loved it, but if you didn't rock out to it, maybe it made you think about something. Maybe it put some food for thought in your brain and you're going to sit and chew on that for a minute. You know what I mean? So,
you're like psyoping people with your music is what you're doing.
Yeah. So, like, for example, really quick, I'll make this quick ride, because I don't want to spoil too much about our new album. But
okay, yeah.
We did play one new song. We actually played 2 new songs at the Black Cat show.
Super dope.
One song is about the news, and like this is an example of like a social commentary kind of piece. Like it's written from the perspective of the news versus the reader of the news. So it's meant to make you, it really, the purpose of it is to make you sit and think about what you're watching on TV. You know what I mean? Maybe
awesome.
There's some controlling behind that. And we write that song from a very like powerful, almost like menacing, controlling standpoint.
Yeah, I think I remember you guys saying, not that you'd never played it live, but it was new.
We'd never played it. That was actually our first time.
That was the first time. Okay. I didn't want to,
That was our first time playing it.
Because then I just out myself like I wasn't paying attention or something during the show or whatever.
No, you're good. But yeah, that was our first time playing it live. And I've been super excited about it. Finally getting to play that song live. I've been waiting for a while.
That's awesome.
But I think going back to your question, yes, I do take some of those 80s inspirations and like how they have those inflections and like more of a rawness to their music versus something very, spliced and edited like what you find in a lot of music these days.
Yeah.
I like the rawness of that type of music.
Yeah. Okay, so how many tracks is the new CD gonna have? I say CD, like people
10, I think,
CDs.
10 or 11, nice. 9 to, I think, I don't know, 9, 10 or 11, something
I'd
around
say
that range.
10 to 12.
10 to 12? 10 to 12. I haven't counted.
So you're still not sure if you're going to include maybe a couple songs in
that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. But
so this is still very early. You're not even sure when it's going to be released, I guess?
We don't have a release date yet.
No.
We haven't mixed and mastered. We're just trying to finish getting all the songs recorded.
You're
still
still
like
tracking.
One more song we got to do.
One more song that we're going to record, and then we're going to request that we start mixing and mastering and get it sorted with.
And maybe add some stuff later.
And then maybe we'll throw on, like one more song.
If time permits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if it feels right. But the base of it, I think the foundation of it is 10 tracks at minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we want to add stuff, we might add stuff down the road if we, while it's
as we get closer.
If we feel like it's necessary.
We're hoping to release in the spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're hoping to release it in the spring,
yeah.
But we want to, send it out to some labels and see if anybody is interested.
Yeah.
And make sure it's packaged wrapped, get it on the marketing, ready and stuff for that.
Yep. There's a lot that goes into it.
Like you said, those videos take time. Ryan has gotten really good at doing the videos
Instagram
lately.
Videos.
So we posted a bunch of reels that he spent a good bit of time trying to put together, and they're really cool.
I saw some stuff from the garage, and it looks really good. How did you guys put that together?
CapCut.
Yeah, it's an app.
Yeah. So you had somebody film that?
We had somebody film the raw footage of it, and then we did all the editing and the filming or the editing and the splicing and stuff.
Dang.
So yeah,
that's super cool.
If you need video editing tips, I'd recommend CapCut. That's it's a app website thing. It's super user friendly.
Nice.
Super user friendly.
And you're not even getting a commission by mentioning this.
No, but I would just from friend to friend, I would recommend anyone to use CapCut.
No.
It's super user friendly for people who don't know how to.
And you're doing this all from your phone?
Yes. I would wish I could do my laptop, but it's it can't process the videos anymore. These videos are
oh my gosh! I finally eked out enough cash to get a new laptop because my old one was 2000. My old one's 2013.
Yeah,
had a
mine's
CD
15.
drive.
Yeah,
mine's 2015. So these videos are 4K when they're recorded or something like that. So it can't process.
Oh my gosh!
So
it's it's going to take 24 hours now.
Yeah,
you can't even play it back in.
I can't play it.
Yeah,
when I'm editing it, I can't play it. It's just all just splotchy little video thing. So cool. I'm doing it on my phone.
Well, I'll have to check out that app though, because when I'll take these interviews and I'll put the entire thing on my phone, I'm using InShot, I think.
Okay.
Which is fine, but it's I don't know. I'm there may be better things out there, so I'm interested in maybe.
Yeah, it's very user friendly.
Cool.
Lots of cool effects and stuff you can add in there too that they have ready for you to use.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
It's nice.
Fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Made life much easier.
It still sucks, but it made life a lot easier.
Yeah.
It sucks a little less.
Oh, yeah.
It sucks a little less.
We're talking about video editing, right?
Yeah,
because it's a lot of time.
Non-video editors, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah. So when you guys are writing music, how does that usually come about? Is it usually you're coming up with a riff and then you bring it to Brenna, or do you have an idea for a song and maybe it might sound like this? How does it usually?
All of the above.
Okay.
We've done it both ways.
Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the other right way is just whatever feels right.
And the other band members are not allowed to contrip whatsoever. They know their place.
Yeah.
They're sitting there in skater jail, not allowed to skateboard.
Well, I mean, we let them contribute a little bit to their parts, and if they want to make suggestions, we usually just try to give them a baseline of kind of what we're trying to do, and here's a suggestion. If you want to do that, then that's perfect. But if you want to play with it and make it your own, please do.
Yeah.
We highly encourage them to make it their own. We're not drummers or bassists. Please make it yourself, your special piece of to add to this.
I think sometimes people forget that writing music is it's a skill, right? And not everybody is interested in contributing in that way too. Like I've been in bands where like we're like, all right, everybody's going to contribute and everybody has to give the green light. And some of the band members are like, bro, like I don't give a shit. Like I just want to play the damn thing.
Yeah.
And because I like writing music, so I didn't realize that. Like I was like, let's make sure everybody's contributing, like thinking that I'm doing everybody a favor. And like half of the band members are like, I don't give a fuck. Like just give me something to play. And I was like, okay.
And it's not like it's set this way where it's like it has to be us two.
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
For this current album or this current era, it's just been this way. Like it's just there's no right or wrong way. Yeah. But like a lot of our songs have been riff first, and then I'll bring the riff to our drummer and our bassist, you know, and then vocals will come.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. We'll have a riff and a melody that will bring, you know. So there's no right or wrong way, but at least for this album, it's been very much just like riff first, you know, melody first. That will bring to everyone.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so much that you can't just do by yourself. Like it has to be in a band that will create, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there will be songs that can only be created with everyone together.
Yeah.
Versus a riff first.
That's right.
You know, so there is no right or wrong way, but at least for this album, it was very much like we had ideas that we'd bring.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also too, like like if you have an idea for an example, it's just going to change. When you bring it to
exactly.
Them. It always
does. It always morphs and gets better. But
that's the beauty of it, though.
Yeah.
At least for this album, it was very much we're bringing stuff to the band. But like for the next stuff, I don't want to do that. I want it to be created there. You know, because there's only so much you can do by yourself. Like it's a whole nother avenue.
That's 100% true.
You know, there's a whole nother realm.
How often do you guys like jam?
Depends on how busy we are and what we got coming up.
Depends on the schedule.
Depends on the schedule.
So if we're running through getting ready for a show, we usually do like show runs, if you will, and we just play through the set like several times. But when we're not prepping for a show or we're doing like the same kind of set, we can usually focus on, you know, maybe learning a new song or jamming. And we usually try to do a jam session every rehearsal. Just to kind of get the flow going and juices.
That's a really good call.
And sometimes it's really cool and sometimes it's not that cool, but that's okay.
That's part of the
process.
Yeah, that just happens.
So I try to record them when they're really, really cool.
Yeah.
So that we can revisit it. So we have so many recordings to get back to.
But they just sound like Chili Pepper, like riff-offs. All of our jams just sound like, because I love Chili Peppers and our drummer loves. Yeah.
A lot of them are just fun jams.
But see, the good news about that is you're bleeding them out of your system, maybe.
Exactly.
So that you're not ripping people off when you are writing music.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When you're coming up with an idea for a song, how do you communicate that to Ryan?
Yeah, so it's not been an easy time to do that.
You're like, I use my drum sounds and my note sounds.
And I think this is the same for you too. Like when he has ideas and we try to communicate them to each other, sometimes it's very hard to communicate that idea in your head, right? And that sound. So like I play very little guitar. I can make some cool sounds on it, sure, but like not a skilled player, right? Not like Ryan.
Sure.
So I like am singing him like, you know, dee da doo 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 doo, and like singing like weird notes, and he's like, I have no idea what you're trying to like give me. Like this makes no sense to me. He's like, I do not hear it. So I usually have to try to like find a way to like morph it into like more of a melody and something more like drawn out that I can sing to kind of help get that idea. And then he'll sit there with his guitar and he'll be like, okay, kind of like this. And I'll be like, yes or no, you know, maybe higher up on the neck or maybe he needs to be lower.
And you're talking about you're throwing at him like a vocal melody and then he's going to maybe try to...
Like both, anything.
Both. So sometimes like I have a vocal melody, but I want him to play a certain kind of like chord progression, but I don't know how to like necessarily say that, so I can kind of try to sing it to him, but he doesn't always. It doesn't always translate, right?
Wow,
so,
I feel like that's pretty tough. Like if you've got the vocal,
it's almost like speaking different languages in a sense. So like you're trying to like translate it into this, and he's like, okay, kind of like this, and I'll be like, yeah, so that's what I'm looking for. And so sometimes it's easier to give like influences, right? So like sometimes I'll say like, give me something very My Chemical Romance. You know, like I want a riff that's very much their style.
Got it.
And try some of those chords and like I'll tell you if I like it. Yeah. And like that's right. So like that works sometimes. And usually we can over time kind of whittle it down to like something we're both really happy with. And I'm like, that's pretty much what I was going for, close enough. And I like where it's at now. Maybe it's even better because it wasn't exactly what I had in mind. and it changed a little bit through that communication. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of makes it special in its own way, the art of that communication. But from there, doing like the vocal melodies and stuff. So I don't always have lyrics. Sometimes it's just, like I said, the
melody first.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's lyrics first. Sometimes it's like guitar riff first without a vocal melody. It all changes.
There have been times where I've written the song first and just a bunch of lyrics. Like I just got like,
wow.
Like in my thoughts the night before and like in bed just wrote like a whole song.
Yeah.
And bring it to Ryan. And I'm like, okay, so I wrote a song. And he's like, okay, so what does it sound like? And I was like, okay, well, it's kind of imagining the rhythm to kind of go like this.
Sure.
And so then we kind of walk through it all together and like kind of shape it and try fiddling around with the guitar. So but it usually starts with both the vocals and the guitar.
Or I would say the riff or something.
Sometimes it does start with the bass, yeah.
Depending on whatever like that main instrument is for the song.
I see.
Because we're a one guitar and one bass band, so it's kind of like whatever that foundational instrument is for that relative song.
Yeah.
We'll just, we'll figure it out. But
yeah.
But I think also focusing, like something that Ryan and I really do like to use to communicate, and I don't know that all bands do this, but we like to talk about the colors of the song.
Yeah, I've heard you use that a couple of times, and I was going to ask, but I wasn't sure.
Ryan says he's like a little bit synesthetic.
I think so, because just how much we reference it like all the time.
Wait, what is that even? I'm sorry.
So synesthesia is where people see like visual colors, almost like an aura, if you will. Visual colors when they think or hear certain sounds or have certain thoughts. So like a certain word they might say, oh yeah, that color is purple. You might like, why is vase a purple color? I don't know. There's no real science or explanation to like why certain things are certain colors, but I think it's, in my mind, it's kind of based on the mood, right? Okay. So like if you're feeling,
and you understand this language, so you guys can
kind of base it on that. So we can
listen if it works for you. I mean, definitely not downplaying it.
Yeah,
I'm just like shit. Like if somebody started telling me that, I'd be like,
play something more green.
What do I do? I mean, I'd be like, I will fail you.
But it kind of helps, and for me, because I don't think I see it quite the same way that Ryan maybe sees it. Because I don't think I'm quite synesthetic like he is. But I can make those associations with things, and I kind of understand the associations that he's made, and can usually pull that into like a feeling, like a mood, and usually the mood is how I try to portray those colors. I don't know if that's the same for Ryan, but like I usually
you're the
base
Ryan
the colors.
whisperer though, so like if he's talking, you can pull it out.
Yeah, I'll be like, okay, I see what you're going for. So that's kind of how, I don't even know how to explain like how we like do that, but
I mean, we've done it long enough where we kind of like understand it in a way.
Yeah,
that's just kind of like a.
Here's a fun question. What colors would you say Madonna are?
I don't know, dude. Like reddish, purple.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I was red and purple.
Yeah.
So
reddish.
So there
purple.
you go.
Red and purple, like a deep red and like a purple.
It's like
I was thinking the same thing. Almost like a flame.
Oh, that's a good comparison. I wasn't thinking of that. I was just thinking of those colors.
Yeah. No, I mean those were the two colors. I swear to God. Like I wish I'd written it down on a piece of paper.
Yeah, you should have. That's right. This is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen.
But okay, well, what would you say? Not yours, never was.
Well, we don't need to do that for each song.
Write it
not
down.
Every song.
This time, write it down and then ask him.
Dude, I don't know. That one's weird.
That one is a little bit weirder.
Well,
there's still reds in it, though.
I would say like red and orange.
I was gonna say there's still
and
reds
maybe
in
yellow,
it.
like flashes of yellow.
So it's a red song.
It's very like
it's a warm song.
That
very
sounds more
fiery.
like, that sounds more like a flame than purple.
Very fiery.
Yeah.
What when you or say maybe if you're coming up with an idea for a song and you're writing a riff, how much of like story or message do you ever bring any of that to the table, or do you usually kind of let Brenna craft the story? How does that? Do you tell her like, hey, I really think this song should be about this, or how does that?
I think so. I think the general idea I can help navigate, but I'm not a lyricist at all. I'm really poor with lyrics.
I mean, clearly the song is going to have a mood, right? So if you bring a song to the table, you're like, this is going to have a specific thing.
Yeah.
And then obviously we can run with that. So there will be something intrinsic in the song, of course.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, like, oh, I guess this is a good question because this is something the guys love to do in Chay. It's hilarious. They love to give the songs like names when referring to it before the song has a name.
Oh yeah, we do that.
You guys do that, yeah.
Which like they're filler names until we come up with the song, actual name.
Yeah,
but I'm not the best lyricist, like, and I've accepted that. I'm a melody person. But
do you ever give them like filler names or filler ideas or anything like that, or?
Yeah, just whenever it comes up.
Yeah.
Well, so we've talked about this before. So when you listen to songs, Ryan, you don't hear the vocals like the lyrics. You hear the vocals as an instrument and more of like a melody.
So I'll listen to like international music just because I don't need a. I don't hear what they're saying. I hear it as a voice or hear it as an instrument. I don't hear what they're saying, and it doesn't even come to me. Like I don't even try to pay attention to it.
No.
Or like I do try to, but I just don't. I just naturally just hear it as an instrument.
Yeah, before I really got into singing, I was a lot in that vein too. Actually, in fact, like some of my favorite songs by rock artists, I didn't even know what the lyrics were.
That's me, even to this day.
Yeah.
So,
and then it's like, oh, and that'll happen if you're like learning a cover. It's like, oh,
you're like, I didn't know
what the fuck was he saying? Really?
Yeah.
Like, damn. Okay.
It's funny. Yeah.
That is pretty.
For hilarious. Like filler names, it's just like whatever comes up, whatever makes sense, like whatever's. We're joking about or something. Like sometimes we'll joke about a lyric and we'll just call it that or whatever rolls off the tongue easy.
Yeah.
You know, but we don't like hone in too hard on those because they get sorted out. Like
you can't get attached to the filler name.
I know. Our filler names are usually not good anyway, so it's like it's so easy for us to change it.
Yeah, you got to make them intentionally bad so that you're like ready.
That's
to throw
pretty much
away.
it. Yeah, our filler names have never been, I don't think, good enough to like get upset about dropping it.
Yeah.
So
cool. One of the things that I don't want to forget to ask you guys, so going from seeing Soccer Mommy at Black Cat and then getting to actually play at Black Cat, tell me, like, what was that like for you guys?
Oh gosh. Can I start?
Yeah, go for it.
Dude, like it was a dream come true. Like I told Ryan when we first started playing, like we had just played like our first live show ever, all right? And he promised me, this is funny, he actually promised me if I played a live show that he would pay. He would buy me a tattoo. And I was like, fuck.
That was
And like, I was broke, you know? So I was like, fuck yeah, I want a tattoo. Hell yeah. Sign me up. So we went and got the Cherub tattoos.
Oh,
so I'd already been playing guitar for a minute. She was just starting.
Very cool.
She was just starting.
She's got one too.
Yeah, I have one on my arm too.
Do you really?
A different one though.
Can you show it off? Or?
I can't.
Show us.
But yeah, at this point, like I'd been playing guitar for a while, but she was just starting as a vocalist.
Yeah.
Right, so
nice.
I was trying to convince her.
Yeah,
I was like, "Hey, practice and stuff. The moment you play, we'll get tattoos." It was my first tattoo.
So you did not have that one.
I did not.
Got it.
But I was trying to convince her. I'm like, "Hey, let's just go play." Like she was nervous and like
I was anxious and nervous. I'm like, I don't know. So he was like,
I had
been
playing guitar for years, a few years before that.
I don't want to say convince me, but like it wasn't as much convincing, but it was
you were nervous.
A way to influence me to try to like put myself out there.
And do it, we'll get matching tattoos.
Just do it and like
something
have fun. Yeah.
This is something that 99% of the people on this planet will never experience is like playing music live.
That is very
so even if it doesn't succumb to anything or nothing happens with it, at least there's this memory that's there forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the thing. Was like, let's just try it because 99% of people wish they could play music live, but like we'll do it just once and see what happens. You know, and that's something that you can never take away, regardless of how old you get or whatever happens in life. Playing music live is something that like millions of people wish they could do. Or like have the courage to do.
Oh,
absolutely.
So that's what I was trying to convince her. I was like, "Hey, let's just do this," and like, I promise you, we'll get a cool tattoo. If we do it, and it'll bond us forever. Like this will be a bond that all of us in the band.
There's a song
forever.
right there. That's that's cool.
Like there will be a bond and a connection forever, regardless of whatever happens to the band. Like that memory will always be there.
Oh yeah.
And you can always think of
Isn't that amazing? Because like your first show is probably the most raw and sloppy and whatever.
Brutal.
And yet in some ways it's the most memorable.
Yeah.
In some ways it's like it's on its own level.
That's what starts it. Like that's the start of it.
It's start of something new and something
for
special.
all of us. It was a start for all of us in the band. So that's kind of like a pivotal thing. And she loved tattoos. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
You want to do
it? Convince her.
And at the same time, like it's memorable for me at the same time. So like, okay, this is a big thing.
No, yeah.
It's something that I've always wanted to do.
It's
and
like you said, for all of you guys.
It's a memento. It's something that's like you can't change no matter what happens to the band. The fact that we all did it.
Yeah.
It is something that like when we go to shows and they're, there's people who are like, man, I wish I did this when I was a kid. They all say that. They're like, man, I wish I did this when I was younger. You know? So it was just kind of like having the courage to do it, and it's just something you can't take away. So it's just kind of like a stamp of like we did it.
Right.
Yeah.
So following up off of that, so we played our first show, we got our first tattoo, and well, his first tattoo. It wasn't my first tattoo, but that's okay. But anyways, so we finally do that, and I told him, I was like straight up, like, well, after probably our first show, I was like, if I ever get to play like Black Cat, I'd probably die and go to heaven. Like, I'm just right there on stage. And I think
you'd
that
be
happened.
Your own little cherub up there in heaven.
Yeah, there you go. And I think that happened. I think I died on stage and came back to life. But it was an incredible experience just to be able to be on that same stage that you've seen like artists that you've looked up to for so long. And I've seen other shows there too, and spent many other like great nights. They do a Cure versus the Smiths dance party night that I've gone to a couple years.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
And some, like I said, other phenomenal artists that play at that venue all the time, and it's just a historical like place. And I actually visited that place before I even moved up here. So to me, it was like a very like special like memory already.
Yeah.
So then to be able to have the opportunity to get up on that stage.
Oh my gosh.
That black and white tile floor and like the grunginess, it was just a dream come true.
What about, so talk to me a little bit about stage fright, because obviously we're nervous for the first show.
Yeah.
When did the stage fright kind of start to wear off, or do you still get a little stage fright every time?
No, I don't know about if this is the same for everybody else or yourself, even as a vocalist. Yeah. But for me, I do get a little nervous before the set.
Yeah.
And
me too. Every set. Yep. It doesn't matter which one.
Yeah. I mean, just about any set, and just a little bit, but it's usually enough where I'm like, okay, you got this. Like, you've done this before. You've practiced it, and I usually can talk myself like down to a low enough level. Then I'm like, all right, we're going to go out there, we're going to have fun, and we're going to do this. And I try to like hype the band up too and tell them the same thing. We're going to go kill this set. We're going to have an awesome time. And, just focus on having fun. Like, we've done the same thing before. And usually like talking to each other really helps me to get into a better headspace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do. And like joking around with each other, because then it's just like it was at practice. You know what I mean? It's not really have to be that big of a difference in feeling, even though you do have the opportunity to connect with an audience, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. But I think, especially with our new bassist, she's, played with a couple gigs with us now, and she was very nervous. She's not played punk style music before, and like, very, very large crowds. So like our Black Cat show, she came into the green room. She's like, there's a lot of people out there. I was like, it's okay. I was like, this is the same thing we do at Sam's house, like every single time. Like, just go out there and have fun. Yeah. Because I was like, if you're having fun, they'll have fun. Yeah. That's what matters. If you're having a good time, everybody else will have a good time. Yep. And that's what makes a good show.
Amen.
So focus on having fun. Don't stress about it, but just look at me. I'll look at you. We'll goof around and have a good time. Like, that's what this is all about. Yeah. So that's how I try to overcome like my stage anxiety before I get on stage. So it's usually not too bad, but it did take a while for me to get there. Like I said before, even hanging out with Ryan, I've not sung in front of people before. Yeah. So then our bassist and our drummer were the second and third people to like ever really hear me like sing. Wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
did you feel like that ever kind of put, because when you get nervous, sometimes you stiffen up a little bit. Do you ever feel like that put like it tightened up your voice a little bit when you were singing?
I think especially as starting off, yeah, definitely a tightness, and I didn't have any like vocal lessons. Even to this day, I actually haven't taken any formal vocal lessons. Wow. So I've just been kind of doing it all on my own and trying to figure it out.
How do you keep your voice like healthy? Like, make sure you're doing things healthily. Because I mean, punk can be kind of aggressive, right? And you said you were screaming in this lady's closet. Like, what do you do?
I probably have done some damage. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, like I said, this is all trial and error. It's all new to us. So, I didn't really know much about keeping your vocal tone healthy and like taking care of your throat and those kinds of things. So I definitely wasn't singing with proper technique as we first started off.
Oh my gosh. I've been there. Yeah. For the longest time. Yeah. I didn't start taking, I only decided to take lessons in 2019 because the guy I was playing with was like, hey, maybe
try it.
Help it. And one of my other friends who was a singer, she was like, it's only going to help you kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
But for me, I think the reason why I had to was because I was consistently doing damage. And I was like, okay, is there a way that I can do this where I'm not hurting myself?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I don't know what your experience with that has been.
Well, I definitely do think I want to look into taking vocal lessons in the future just to make sure I am doing proper technique. And especially as we, progress with our sound and stuff and become, whatever we decide to become. But overall, like right now, I think Ryan has been a big help. Ryan did take vocal lessons before we met a long time ago.
This guy takes the vocal lessons, plays the music, and then he's like, you sing.
Yeah, basically.
I mean,
like, I'm not doing it. You do it.
I mean, it's all trial and error. Because again, I originally wanted to do my original stuff, but that's where I realized, like, okay, like my voice isn't to my ears. It's not the sound I'm going for.
That's right.
But like I did try it. I took vocal lessons. I did all that to like try to get good at singing and try to do my own solo stuff. But it just like my voice wasn't to my ears what I wanted to personally hear.
Yeah.
Not from a skill perspective, but just from a sound perspective. Like just wasn't what I wanted to hear for the music.
Yeah. Well, it's been a big blessing that you did take lessons because
the little bit I learned,
the little bit he's learned, he could be like, "Don't do it that way. You're hurting yourself.
Forward.
Like, you're bring it more forward. You're not bringing it forward."
Different types of like
definitely
head voice
led to some
and
frustrations,
stuff like that.
but
Mask voice.
But overall, like I understand he's trying to help me, and so that we can all become like the best musicians we can, and like that's what we really ultimately want, right? We all have the same like big goal in mind, is to do this full time, right? This is how we want to spend our lives, as writing music and putting it out there and sharing it for the world and playing on stages and having fun. I think that's most musicians' dreams, but I won't speak for all musicians.
No, I know, right? And there's so many different types too. I think one thing that really always stuck with me that my vocal coach said, and you can probably attest to this too, Ryan, is if you make a sound that you like and it doesn't hurt,
thumbs up. Yeah.
Like it really is the epitome of, if it feels good, do it. Like, if it feels good, then you're not hurting yourself.
Exactly.
If it doesn't feel good, probably don't do it.
Right. Or if by the time you end your set, you like can barely talk, that's not usually a good sign. And I've had a couple sets like that, so I know I wasn't
not too much though.
It's gotten a lot better since.
Good.
It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
But there was a time, especially when your muscles aren't used to it too.
Yeah. That's actually true, because there is a line of like, oh, I had a nice workout with my voice and now I'm going to rest the next day, versus like, I hurt something and I shouldn't do that again.
Yeah, exactly. So like there's a balance of trying to find like which is which, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, I had Ryan on my side to help tell me like, you're doing that very wrong and you're going to hurt yourself. But the other thing is just the feeling of it. If it doesn't feel good, like your vocalist coach said, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's usually not a good sign.
Do you ever get like self-conscious about like, oh, like I wish, I don't know, like my range was better, or I wish I could do these things, or it's like you listen to like Haley and you're like, I'll never sing again because I'm terrible, or like.
Or you try to like cover those songs and you're like, wow, that was really awful. That should never be heard by anybody ever. You know what I mean? Like it's hard sometimes. And I definitely do get like self-conscious, but I do think the only way to break out of that is to keep practicing though. I've found that, just even doing some vocal lessons and warm-ups on YouTube has really helped expand my range.
YouTube is a wonderful resource.
But it has helped expand my range. I can now reach notes that I couldn't reach a year ago.
Wow. And this is all on your own. That's great.
Right. But I wouldn't say like it's, a whole octave, it's not adding, but so much more. But it is, over time you can reach those muscles and strengthen them so that you can reach those high notes or low notes, whatever your goal is to, right?
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing for me though is when I reach my high notes, like keeping them powerful and not going into a falsetto.
Yeah.
Because then it gets really, really light and breathy and almost inaudible for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the opposite for me is to literally just scream. So like that's not really good for people's ears either. So I've had to really work on finding a balance of, where can I hit the notes and, have like that angst that I'm looking for, but so that they're audible and clear too.
Yeah.
But over time, I think, just keeping practicing will, maybe one day I'll be able to cover Misery Business. And
Have you ever had it where it's like you write yourself something or you play a cover and you're like, okay, this sounds great in practice. And then then you get on stage and you're like, I'm nervous. And it's like, I thought I could sing that and now I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it's ever like gone so terrible that the audience like reacts like, ooh. Usually at least we try to pick covers that I think people like tend to sing, too. And I think that helps.
Very smart.
But I mean, I don't know. You want to say something? You want to add anything to this? Do you feel like I've
I don't
botched a cover?
Wow, way to put him on the spot.
No, I don't think so.
Do you think I sound like shit?
You'll be real with me, though.
That's awesome. You need people
I think
like
the
that.
reason if she has messed up on stage is because we can't hear ourselves.
Oh,
that's the main reason that we're like, we talked
point.
about, I'm like, hey, you messed up in this part. She's like, I couldn't hear myself.
That's a good point.
That's like when you do mess up, it's that. Because if you mess up at practice, I'll tell you, or like whatever. We'll let each other know if we mess up.
Different venues are different kinds of sound. So.
This is a PSA, for all those musicians playing with singers out there, make sure the singer can hear themselves. I didn't even realize that was an issue. The first
Don't be afraid to ask for your monitor to be turned up.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so bad about doing it.
Because we always bring that up. I'm like, hey, you were off on this song. And you're like, dude, I didn't hear myself at all. And
I was like that song, I literally heard nothing.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, we've had a couple of gigs like that. And it happens. It's just part of playing different venues.
I thought I would never get to the point where I would be not nervous enough to be able to. Because I'll be like, I'm singing at home and I can sing these things perfectly. Or even in practice. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as somebody's there, I can't do it. And so I was like, that'll just never happen.
Yeah.
But you're right. The practice is, and I think the hearing yourself too.
Hearing yourself is so important.
Because I think once I finally played somewhere where it wasn't completely DIY, like we had to bring our own PAs and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, I can have my monitor in a way where I can hear myself. And then instead of focusing on being nervous, I'm just focusing on what I can hear. And now I'm not killing myself.
Yeah.
So
I think the only time that I really did freeze up a little bit on stage was actually we played a show at State Theater. We were opening for Jimmy's Chicken Shack, which is a 90s
very cool. Yeah.
grunge band. And so they were really sweet guys, very awesome. But we did a cover of Bad Reputation by Joan Jett.
Yeah,
Very simple.
Oh, love it.
Very simple. But all I will say about that song, about the lyrics, is that a lot of them are very similar. Like all the verses are very similar to the next verse, right?
Sure, yeah.
So,
it's a standard punk song, I guess. Right?
Yeah. And for us, this was a big opportunity, opening for a well-known band and playing State Theater. Yeah. They offered it to us 2 days before the band, the show, and we were just like, yes, please sign us up. But anyways, I definitely messed up on the lyrics, and I for a moment just stopped singing, and I was like, oh my god, I just froze up, and I was like, and I was like, just start singing. Yeah, I was like, just start singing, and I was like, I turned around and I was just like, okay, breathe, shake it off a little bit, and just get back into it. So I just picked it up on the next part, and it was fine, and we moved on.
Yeah,
nobody brought it up, and nobody complimented the song, obviously, but nobody brought it up either.
Sure,
But things happen,
Yeah,
sometimes you freeze up, you get a little nervous, or something just affects you right before your show, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got a little worm in your head trying to chew through.
Yeah.
and screwing you up and making you nervous. So, but don't let it get to you. Breathe. Yeah. Breathing exercises are great.
Yeah.
And just knowing that there are people there who were there to see you play music.
Yeah.
And there to have a good time. That's what is expected of you. So go out there and have a good time.
Yep. And whether we like it or not, the best part about live music is the possibility that something will go wrong sometimes. So that's part of the
thrill.
That's kind of the excitement, right?
Yeah.
For the audience and for us. So it's when you have an experience like that, it's okay, well.
And then what do you do? How do you get back to it too?
Yeah.
I think that is also part of what matters, and that's what the audience is seeing. Okay, you fumbled, but how did you pick it back up?
Yeah, yeah. Wow, State Theater. So was that just another cold calling type of situation where you were
they just reached out to us?
It was
no
so
way.
random.
We had no
connections.
No connection.
We didn't know anybody there. They just
how did they see you or
they just
know
heard
you?
of us from social media and
Instagram. Do you guys do Facebook or
no?
Not really on.
Does
Facebook.
Anybody do Facebook?
No, I don't think so.
Some people do, but yeah, I don't know.
They just heard of us in the area.
That's super
just
cool.
Heard of us.
Hell
yeah. We were really doing well at that time.
Name out. Yeah.
With Not Yours Never Was.
Oh my gosh, we didn't talk about the Wammie. I'm so sorry about that. I totally forgot about
That's okay.
We got to cover that at least a little bit. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Wait, let's make sure the cameras are on really quick.
Oh, yeah.
And we should probably make sure that we're... You're good on this side. Oh, hell yeah, we're running. Okay. Yeah, and I don't want to...
Make sure your battery is good.
I don't want to keep you guys here forever either. I get, distracted. So, yes. So, okay, so you guys recorded that song with your engineer.
Correct.
Reese Clutter.
Total G.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And you were like, great, we got this song. So then what happened?
It started doing really well. We released it, and again, people loved it. They ate it up. It was
just online.
How
did you promote it?
In the just Instagram Reels, similar approach where we just had a really good video that resonated with people, and
we tried to get it on playlists on Spotify too was another thing.
But even locally, people loved it. It wasn't just online.
Just playing it live was probably the
playing
best
it live.
way to help
people
us.
were like, "Oh yeah, that's
They're
awesome.
That's cool. I want more of that."
Yeah. So it did really well locally, and it really got our name out there locally as well. State Theater, I'm sure that's how they heard our name because we were getting pretty well known in the area because of that song. And we're not viral, but for us, for a small band, it's our best song so far. But yeah, it was a good song. We liked it, and then it did well, and we did the Whammies, and we won for best punk song and best punk artist.
Hell yeah!
For 23, 24, whatever.
Yeah, it was 24.
24
when I googled it.
It's early this year.
It was
early this year. How does that? Sorry again, because I am kind of new to the area, and I'm actually even new to the music scene in general, because all the stuff was on my own before I joined Chay, and then I was like, oh, there's this whole world that I didn't know about. What's the deal with the Whammies? How does that work?
Yeah, so with the Whammies,
talk to me like I'm from Boston. I don't know, I've never been to DC.
So the Whammies are essentially a DC local award ceremony that they award different genres of music special awards, and it usually works on a tier basis. So you have so many bands that are nominated, right? Mm-hmm. And then you go through 2 rounds, I think it was 3 rounds. Of one is voting from the public.
Oh, okay.
That's the first round. And the second round is judge voting.
Okay.
And then the finalists moved on to the last round, and you find out on the day of the Wammie ceremony if you won the award or not.
Wow.
But I think nominations usually start around this time of year. I think around Thanksgiving, early December.
Yeah, nice. Winter time.
And then they start doing the voting through December, January. And then by March, they have the finalists all laid out, and they know who they're...
And how do they find the music? Is that just them doing research, or do you have to submit, or how does that work?
You submit, yeah.
Either you submit or somebody else nominates you, right? So somebody else might go and nominate your song. But I want to say it was probably easier for bands to nominate themselves because they want you to add pictures and promotional material and stuff.
It's easier for them anyway.
But then that first round, there's hundreds of people who submit. That first round where public votes, it sorts it out. So then only out of the hundreds, only 7 go to the next round. Mm-hmm. So there's that first round, but then the public votes for you. And then after each category only has the top 7, then the judges go through the top 7.
Okay. And so how does the public vote?
There's an online.
Just you go online and they have to choose from hundreds and hundreds of.
I think.
Holy cow.
Well, they don't have to. It's not
Depending
like they
on the
have
category.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. It's based on categories, right? So
sure.
Each genre is broken into a category.
Okay.
And you get to submit, or somebody gets to submit on your behalf.
Yeah.
The category that they believe you best fit in. And I think you get to choose 2 or 3, and then they will kind of sort you into the category that they best feel you fit into.
I see.
But they line it up like that. So each category has a best song, best artist, and best album or something
like that.
There's a third one. I don't recall what that is.
And those are only in categories. They don't have overall best, or they do, or
nope, they do it by each
best
genre.
Rock song, best punk song,
cool,
best rock album.
So they're limiting it to their genre, basically.
Yep, correct.
Oh, interesting.
They have a lot of genres on the list.
So wow,
a lot of
it's
applications.
very inclusive.
How many genres would you say?
Probably at least 50.
No, I would say maybe.
I would say more than 20 some.
Yeah,
it was a lot.
Maybe 30-ish. That's a lot. Like very.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
it was very inclusive. Like they had go-go music on there,
Jazz,
which is a big
go-go.
thing for
That's
DC.
a big DC.
Yeah, big DC thing.
Sorry, what did you say, Ryan?
Jazz, go-go music,
sure.
like
Yeah,
country, just all the genres that you would see, that you would think of. Yeah,
yeah.
It's just
wow.
That.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So they had punk, they had rock, they had indie,
pop, and then
they had pop,
country, like all that.
You name it.
So, yeah.
So they had a bunch of genres out there.
Cool.
So basically, yeah, they put you into a genre grouping, and you can usually apply. You had to do the same genre. You had to be within the same genre, but you can apply for best artist and best song and best. I think it was album, like I said. But you can apply to be covered in each of those groups, right?
I see.
So you can be nominated for best song and best album and best artist if it's all within the rock genre or the punk genre or whatever it is.
I see.
But it has to be within that same genre.
Yeah, you can't. I guess. Yeah, there was no way that you could do multiple different.
There's
genres.
a hard rock.
It makes
metal
it two
genre as well.
Crossing genres makes it two.
There's a hard rock metal.
Hard rock and metal.
Slash metal. Hard rock slash metal.
Oh,
That's
it's one. Yeah. I was gonna say if they're separate.
No,
I was just talking with Nick about that the other day. I was like, it's really hard sometimes to tell the difference.
No, it's a hard rock slash metal. I think that's what it was last year.
Got it. Very cool. Awesome.
So yeah, you put your name out there, you nominate yourselves, or you are nominated by someone else, and you go through that first round, and they take like 20 artists for best rock, and then they shrink it down to 7 through public voting.
Got it. That's super dope.
Gives them leeway, or like it gives them some.
It helps
whittle
them
it
out.
Down. Not have to, not to look through every application. Just go to the top ones or whatever.
Sweet.
But it was really cool. It was a big honor to
no kidding.
Like only have been doing the band for like a year or so, and it was one of our first songs. It is the first song we had officially recorded,
like
right?
Professionally done.
Professionally
done.
So it was really special to even be nominated. I was just excited to be on the nomination list and to move on to the next round was just a big honor to me. So
that's so cool.
It was really cool when we go to the award ceremony. We sat through the whole ceremony, and they never once said our name or
the category
or the
whatever,
category.
yeah.
Like we sat there. So apparently. There was a mixer. They labeled it on the itinerary as a DJ mixer, okay? But apparently
before the show,
it was a pre-award ceremony. But they didn't label that on the itinerary. They said DJ, mixer. So you like networking event.
The pre-show.
It was considered a networking event, but it was
a pre-show event that they didn't label as the pre-award show.
They labeled it as a networking event, and it was the actual pre-award show. So they announced most of the categories before the actual ceremony show. So people found us as we like took a break from the award ceremony. We realized our name wasn't getting they weren't even announcing the genres that we were a part of. So we were like, okay, let's go take a bathroom break and get a drink, and we'll come back in and see what happens. And as we were both using the bathroom, I think you went to the bar and ran into one of our friends who was like, dude, you guys won.
Like, congrats. I was like, for what?
And you're like, what?
Like, what do you mean congrats?
Oh,
and he's like, you guys won Best Punk Artist. And he's like,
dude,
what?
They didn't say it.
They didn't say that. Where did you see that? Where did you hear that? And so simultaneously, I'm in the bathroom.
He told you this in the pre-awards
ceremony.
This
was middle of the normal award ceremony.
Because we missed the pre-award
ceremony. We missed
ceremony.
the pre-award. We got there at the award ceremony, and then like halfway through.
Because we thought it was a networking.
We're like, okay, let's take a little breather. She's going to use the restroom. I'm going to the bar.
I'm so confused. I thought there was a networking event that wasn't. Or no, I'm sorry.
So they labeled it on the itinerary. I'll explain.
Yes,
let me
please.
back it up.
Thank you.
On the itinerary.
Explain this to me like I'm a 2-year-old.
On the itinerary, they put that it was a networking DJ event. Okay, so we decided we were not going to go to the networking
this
event.
An hour before the
award ceremony because we didn't really find we just didn't want to. Not to be jerks or anything. We just we're trying to get ready, and we had a busy.
You find this out the day of, right?
Yeah.
So it's
So, anyways, we decided not to go to the pre-award ceremony. We're just going to focus on
the networking event.
Or sorry, the network. We didn't know it was I'm sorry. We didn't know it was an award ceremony. We thought it was a networking event, so we decided not to go to the networking event. Well, it turned out the networking event was the pre-award ceremony show.
I see.
So we missed it, all of it, and
that's where you would have found out who wins before.
So they announced it that we were won during that pre-award, but we had no idea. So we sat through the whole award ceremony, like in our seats, like jittering, like little kids, like just excited and like, oh my God, like, are they going to announce it? And we get to like the last, you could tell like it's getting close to the time they're wrapping things up, and we're like, okay, I don't know that they're gonna announce it. Like, I don't know that. Maybe nobody won. I don't know. It was weird. So he went to the bar. He ran into our friend, and he was like, "Dude, you guys won like best punk artist." And Ryan's like, "What?"
It's like, dude, they didn't say it. They're like, "Yeah, they did at the pre-award show." I'm like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean a pre-award show?"
Oh my!
I'm at the award show. What do you mean there's a pre-award show?
Pre-award show. What are you talking about? So simultaneously, I'm in the bathroom talking to one of the girls there, and she is also a fellow musician who was nominated. And she was like complimenting my outfit, and she was asking, "What band are you in?" And you're like, "Oh, clearly you're part of a band."
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm part of Cherub Tree," and she was like, "Oh my God, I think you guys won. I think you guys won like best punk song." And I was like, "What? No way." I was like, "What?" And then she's telling me about the pre-award ceremony show, and I was like, "Oh my God, I had no idea." So then I meet up with Ryan afterwards.
She heard that we won best punk song. The friend who I met with said we won best punk artist.
So we're looking at each other like, so which one did we win?
Which one did we win? We won something.
Because we thought we'd only win one. You know, we were like, it would be awesome if we won one award.
She heard artist, I heard song, or whatever it was. We're like, okay, which one is it?
So we get back together, we're like comparing notes, and I'm like, well, I was told this one. And then he's like, but I was told this one. And I was like, so what did we win? We're both like, I don't know. I guess we'll find out later. So
the award show finishes. And
at the very end of the awards show, they flash up for like 30 seconds on the screen several genres that they announced during the pre-award ceremony show that had won. And so our name was on that list. And we were like, we
won
did
both
win.
of them. We did two of them.
We sat through this whole thing not to get announced, but we did win, and we won both awards. And it was just so like,
wow.
We were like, what? It was kind of exciting that we found out that way, I guess. So.
No, that's cool, actually. That's so funny that you were like the last to know out of everybody.
Everybody else knew. Even the stranger in the bathroom knew, but we did not know.
Oh my gosh. People are walking around and they're like, oh, there's that band that won the punk awards. And they're so demure about it. They don't even like,
so calm.
They don't even care. And then you guys are at the show like, I wonder who's going to win. And these people are like, are they playing? Like, no, we legitimately don't know who's going to win.
I want to know who wins too. Yeah.
Oh man. Wow, that's crazy. Well, congrats on that.
It was a really special honor to be considered even. So
hell yeah. I forgot to ask, so the drummer you met on Craigslist, he's the one that you're still playing with.
Correct.
Crazy.
We are still playing with the same drummer that we met from Craigslist.
Nice. Yeah. Holy cow.
Our funky ginger.
And then how did and then you had to part ways with your old bassist, but how did you meet your new bassist?
So we actually met our new bassist while playing shows with our old bassist, and
oh no way!
The things went very peaceful with our old bassist.
Beautiful.
She just decided she wanted to start new projects and do her own type and style of music.
Cool. Oh, because she plays guitar too.
So she decided, she'd learned a lot from this project, but her time was up, and that she wanted to move on. And do some of her own style music.
Oh, that's so awesome.
We still love her. She's still a great friend of ours.
Yeah, we love her dearly. And, it was a really sweet conversation that we had about everything. We're like, dude, we just want to support you. Like,
that's awesome.
If that's what makes you happy, like, we're going to be your fans.
Is she playing in a band right now, or?
Yes, they're playing. She's playing in a band called Modest Goddess. And
oh my gosh, yes. I know of
with our
them.
drummer, actually. Our drummer is also in Modest Goddess. Yeah.
Isn't he also in Zeus on the Loose?
Yes.
Yeah. He's on
hell yeah.
Dude, he's been in so many bands over.
Does he work?
He's a full-time drummer.
Full-time drummer, man.
Wow. Dude, I hate people like that.
It's because I'm jealous.
I know, 100%. Yeah. I was saying that to Zach from Shallow Planet because he doesn't, his day job is playing at breweries and wineries. I was oh, fuck you, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Like, wow, full time.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I ran into Liam from Zeus on the Loose at your guys' show. And cool I know him from when we were kids.
Oh, no really? I was thinking of that when he said Front Royal.
No
yes.
way.
I was thinking, like, dude, they're from there. Because like Liam and
this isn't my interview, so I won't get into like the deep lore of it. But I'm originally from North Providence, Rhode Island, and my family moved to Virginia when I was like 8. And then a year later, we moved out to Front Royal. And right before, like, and he was living there at that time. And so I kind of knew him when we were kids. He's a little bit younger than me. But, and then we also worked for the same roofing company for a couple years.
No shit.
And I hadn't seen him. We both kind of like went off and did our own thing. And I heard he was playing in a band.
Yeah, they're so cool.
And, but I haven't seen him play yet. And I ran into him at the show. His hair was so much longer. I was like, Liam, how are you? I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you guys were going to be here. He's like, yeah, our drummer's playing in Cherub Tree. I was like, holy shit. And then you guys are like, oh yeah, he plays in Modest Goddess. Damn. 3 bands?
He had 5 or 6 at one point.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he had a lot at one point.
We had to have a nice talk with him and be like, hey dude, like you seem really tired lately.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we don't want to give him an ultimatum. It's not like, you know, you can't play in other bands. Like, please play in all the bands you want. Like, that's good experience. But
what's his last name?
Elliot.
Ryan Elliott.
Sam
Elliott. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're Ryan. See how bad I am with names? Okay. Wow. That's crazy.
But I think he realized like he was stretching himself a little thin too.
Yeah.
So and he wanted to focus more on you know, less bands. So he whittled it down to 3. And he's putting more time into those. But I think he seems a little bit, I think he misses playing in other bands sometimes, but I think he also feels better. Like, not as tired and exhausted all the time, because it was a lot for scheduling, having to run one thing to the next. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine?
I can't. Isn't that funny? You found him on Craigslist and he was like, oh yeah, I play drums kind of, but I've never really played in a band.
Yeah.
And then he's like.
And like a gigging DC band, per se. Yeah. Now he's in a bunch.
And now he's like. You're so like, you might need to cut some out so you don't die.
Yeah.
He just started getting like sick a lot and stuff. And I was like, man, like, I was like, I just want you to take care of yourself. All right. And it was like, if you need to cut Cherub Tree even, like, that's fine. I care about you and your well-being, but like, take care of yourself, please.
Wow.
But I think that's like something that's key. And like, that's really helped our band in general is that we do care about each other. We may have been strangers to start with, but we do care about each other now, and we want each other to take care of each other first.
Yeah.
So to loop back to your question about her new bassist, we actually met her at one of the shows we played at the Garage. She plays in Fiberplum. It's I think more Baltimore-based band.
Yeah.
And so our
she still does, or she did?
She still does.
Oh no way.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So she actually travels down to Fairfax to practice with us, which is really awesome.
She lives in Baltimore?
She was. I think she's now moving to Silver Spring area.
But
okay.
So it's not as bad.
Yeah, Silver Spring to Fairfax.
It's not. I mean, not as bad.
Cross the bridge, I guess, or what is it? 270, I guess.
It's better than it was for Baltimore, from what I gather. Yeah, it was a little rough for her.
Yeah.
But our old bassist actually like recommended her when she had the conversation with us about, you know, moving on to focus on her project. She was you know, I was trying to think of people, you know, that I, you know, had in mind, and I felt like, you know, Naomi would be a great fit, and we're like,
very cool.
Dude, that's a great idea. Yeah, absolutely. We'll reach out to her and see if she has an interest, and worked out there.
Your old bassist, is she fronting Modest Goddess? Okay, so she's the one that's her project. Yeah. I meant to see them play because I was going to go see Shallow Planet play the Battle of the Bands that they ended up winning, and they were in the lineup. I just remember there were so many bands that I knew that were competing.
Yeah,
and I was like, man, I should go and check it out, because I think was it Zeus on the Loose was playing too. I think live at Zach's house there was like Grim Winter. There's so many of them that I knew.
So many.
Yeah,
lots of good bands on this past year.
Yeah, very cool. And so she started playing with you guys how long ago?
Naomi, I think about April she started practicing with us.
Okay.
I think it was about right?
Like less than a year.
Oh wow, yeah, that's when I started with Chay actually.
Yeah.
So right around the same time. And how many shows has that been with you guys then?
So she started playing shows with us actually in June, because we needed to catch her up to speed and teach her all the songs and stuff. And we've been working on new songs too, so we needed to show her the new songs that she hadn't even heard before, you know.
Is she playing on the new album?
So
we pretty much have it mostly recorded. And then I would just play bass whenever.
Yes. There you go.
I would just play bass because it's not that difficult anyways. So like our music isn't that difficult. So a lot of
hey, no, let's not be too hard
skill
on yourself.
wise.
This guy, he's just constantly self-deprecating.
No, I'm just being real. Like, it's technically not that skilled in music.
Well, and like you said, sometimes it's easier for some people to just be in the band and be given the music than it is to have to help make all the decisions.
100%.
Like some people prefer to just show up and play the music, and 100%. Like I respect that.
Yeah.
And I think right now, at least with, you know, the things she has going on in her own life, that works best for her.
Yeah.
So that's how we're playing it. But if she wants to contribute more, she's more than welcome to.
Wow. So, but I guess when you guys played at Black Cat, it sounds like she was a little surprised at how many people were there. So she's she's not really used to playing to crowds that large, I guess, or
no, not quite that large. So like we knew like we were gonna have about 200 and some people there because of the pre-sale tickets.
Yeah.
But then we had at least another 200 some show up at the door.
There was a lot of people there.
So I think like that surprised her that they filled in so much more. Than what she had originally had.
I mean, it surprised me too. Yeah. I wasn't expecting that either. I was like, oh, shoot.
It was really awesome.
When I saw her, I was like, uh-oh. Yeah. In a good way.
I mean, I expected it to fill out, but maybe not quite as much as it had.
It was daunting.
Like, that was really awesome. That made the night even more special, and there were so many people there who we knew who came out to just show some love and support, and some people who had never even seen us play before.
Yeah.
So it was a really like special, wholesome night.
Yeah.
But she played maybe I'd say like 10-ish, not even
way
10.
Way less.
I'd say like 6-ish,
maybe 5 total. Because we don't play
gigs?
as much anymore.
I'm thinking, but from like June to
we played probably
like
4 gigs total.
I would say 5.
5.
I'll give her 5. I'd say she's played 5 gigs with us before Black Cat.
Yeah.
She's already doing backup vocals and stuff. And,
and
just you do backup vocals too, right?
Yeah, on occasion.
They all do a little bit.
We all have mics,
Yeah. Dude, good call on Toxicity at the end. That was super.
Or Chop Suey.
Chop Suey. I'm so sorry. Yeah,
it's okay.
Sorry.
We love Chop Suey.
No, that was really great.
And we love So too, just in general. But that one is a fun cover. We played it a handful of times, but it's one that really gets the crowd energized.
Yeah.
We try to do covers where people know and are like, oh yeah.
But also, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I think it's also fun to like pick covers that are unexpected for like a female lead. So like, especially like this, like, young like little girl leading, you expect something soft and pretty, right? Or something, maybe more powerful.
Well, not after seeing a whole set of yours, they're not going to think that.
like I would expect to maybe, if it were me watching the crowd or like me watching myself from the crowd, I would expect, maybe something more like mainstream, I guess, or like something like poppy from today's music.
Yeah.
Or like something very classic.
Something you'd expect.
Like Joan Jett. Just a little expected. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
Nirvana.
Nirvana. Yeah,
just
something very expected.
Traditional cover songs that you would hear.
So I think it's really fun to juxtapose. I can't even say the word.
Juxtapose. Yeah.
Juxtapose that with the, the tiny female lead doing like a big like angry like screamo song, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like people don't cover that song super often either.
Exactly, that's why we love doing it.
Fun.
Or like it's the perfect thing because it's like when you don't hear, you're like, ooh yeah. When you hear that first like riff, you're like, oh yeah, let's go.
And it's also just a fun like song for
everyone,
the crowd to scream too. Like as a crowd member, like if I saw somebody, and that's how I try to think about this a lot. If I were in the crowd, like what would I want to see, and how would I feel, and would I be screaming those lyrics? And it's worked to our advantage because like that's a big one that people love to scream the words to.
Yeah.
And so I love that interaction with the crowd.
Yes.
I think it makes things more memorable. And when I think about concerts that stood out to me, those are the types of interactions that, I remember that sit with me when I go home. I connected with the, singer, or we all shouted this song, or we got into a mosh pit and that kid busted his kneecap and I had to go to the hospital. You know what I mean? Like, it's just those kinds of things. That did happen. But
oh my gosh. Just injuring people at your shows.
But it creates like a fun, and it also shows like picking covers that are special to you and your band are also important because that shows what influences you and your music too.
Sure.
So it's a way to share that and connect with the audience on a more personal level too.
Yeah. No, yeah, I was talking with the guys in Chay about it, and I was like, we gotta, like, Ben and I, because our bassist Ben and I, we went to the show and we were watching it and we were talking about it, and I was like, that was inspiring. It was like, okay, like, because I think we focus a lot on the originals because we're original band. Mm-hmm. And, at the level we're at, and you guys are definitely further along than us, it's like you got to throw a cover in there. You know what I mean? And like you said, give the people an opportunity to sing along with.
Yeah.
It also connects you with the crowd for like people who have never heard you before. It connects you with them because you can connect on this focal point of like, okay, they like this song, I like this song. Yeah. Let's enjoy it together versus them like trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you a connection point in a way.
Yeah.
Cool.
It gives you a cool way to relate to the band.
Yeah.
In the sense as like a person in the crowd.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, I love that song too. Like that's awesome that they love that song, and like that must be an inspiration for some of their music.
Yeah.
You know, I should check out some of their stuff. You know, since I like their you know what I mean? It's just like something like that.
Well, no, yeah, because like no matter how good a band is, if you've never heard of them or heard of their music, and you go and you have a blast, you know, you might not be able to take anything away from that if you just don't recognize anything from it, right? So it's like if there's one song that you do, it's like, oh yeah, that band that played Chop Suey, dude, that was fucking amazing. That was killer. Like it was awesome. And then it's like, and then you think to like go follow them and do that kind of thing. So it's a smart move. It's a good move. All right. I'm gonna set you guys free, but before we do that, I'm trying to think, because I did this with Shallow Planet too. We wanna do some kind of like, obviously, shout out to the show that's coming up, right? So let's see.
Hey, this is Brenna and Ryan from Cherub Tree.
This is Dave from Chay Vicious.
Come see us play with Lena Trainum at Songbird on December 19th.
Doors at 7.
Show starts at 8. We'll see you there.